Good evening. The November 11th Westwood Washington School Board of Trustee meetings is now in session. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're glad to see so many people here. Since we have a quorum, please stand for a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance. All right, this is the part of the evening we look forward to celebrating our Student of the Month. Before we begin, here are a few details about how we'll proceed. David Dixon will be taking professional photos of each student as they receive their award. After all the students have been recognized, we'll pause for a brief intermission. During this time, Student of the Month and their families are invited to the lobby for refreshments. Mr. Dixon will also be there available in the lobby to capture photos of the Student of the Month with their families and school representatives. And now we begin with the Virginia F. Wood Learning Center, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Marcy Dorado, the director of the Early Learning Center, and I am so pleased to introduce J.J. Hughes to you. I've got some really great things to say, and I think you're going to find out how fantastic of a little guy he is. J.J. is always respectful to the children and the adults in the classroom. His teachers here tonight, she also had wonderful things to say. She says, since the very first day of school, JJ has stood out as a leader in the classroom. He walks in each day ready to learn and always seems to know just what to do. Whether the class is at circle time, small group, or transitioning throughout the day, JJ listens attentively and he shows great respect when the teacher is speaking. At just 4 or 5 years old in an all-aboard classroom, this can be a challenge, but JJ consistently sets a wonderful example for his peers. He follows directions the first time, participates in lessons, and always puts his best effort forward when asked to do so. He is a kind and caring friend to everyone in the class. He plays with all of his classmates and is always inclusive, making sure others feel welcome and valued. He's helpful, encouraging, and can always be counted on to do the right thing. His kindness, leadership, and positive attitude help make the class a happy place to learn and grow. JJ is so deserving of this honor. Let's congratulate him.
Thank you, JJ.
All right, next up, Oak Trace.
Hi, everybody. I am Jane Hitch, and this is Christy Herring. We are the proud principals at Oak Trace, and I would like to introduce to you our Student of the Month, Noah Baldwin. Make sure Noah can see everybody back there. Noah joins us via FaceTime because he is currently at Peyton Manning Hospital fighting his battle with leukemia. And my goodness, he's a fighter, and we are so proud of him. I just want you to know a little bit about Noah. He has been at Oak Trace since kindergarten and has just been a light and just a beacon of what it means to treat people right and do the right thing ever since he was a kindergartner. We're so very proud of you, Noah. And a very cool thing about Noah is that this summer he went with his family to Japan, where his mom is from, and he got to enroll in school in Japan and learn about what it's like to be in school in Japan. It was so fun to talk to him when he got back about all the differences between an American school and a Japanese school. And shortly after that, he was diagnosed with leukemia earlier this school year. And so he has been at Peyton Manning for a while, and but he continues to work hard. He continues to bring joy and do so much for his class. His class has come together to support him. Everybody loves Noah. When they found out he was a student of the month, everybody was so excited. It's not just this battle with leukemia that makes him strong. He's been strong all along. Listen to some of the things that some of his previous teachers have said. It says he finds creative ways to find the joy no matter what he's facing. I'm so proud of Noah for how he's fought with courage and joy so far in this leukemia battle. Another teacher, Mrs. Dankman, his third grade teacher, said, it's rare to have a student enter the classroom on the first day of school. This was last year in third grade, with an established innate characteristics like integrity, perseverance, determination, effort, hardworking, caring, responsibility, creativity, self-motivation, and being self-driven. And he is pure joy. And I don't know if you can see that smile. Come on, y'all. I'm showing your award-winning smile, but he's got a lot of fans out there. He has a positive outlook in all that he does. When he's interacting with his classmates, he's kind and considerate, and he's a friend to everyone he meets. Let's all wish Noah the best in his journey, and let's cheer him on for being the great kid that he is. Congratulations, Noah.
Thank you, Noah.
Good luck, Noah.
Next up, Monon Trail.
All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Jeremy Marvel. I'm the principal at Monon Trail, and I have Tyson Sutton, second grader at Monon Trail here. Mrs. Wong, his second grade teacher, cannot be here tonight. She had a little conflict. It's her daughter's birthday, so she had to stay home for that. She really wishes she could be here to celebrate Tyson, so we're going to do it together. Tyson is just your typical boy. He likes to run around outside, play. He likes some video games. He plays sports. He loves football. He's a linebacker on his football team, so you got to be tough to do that. But at school, he is one of those kids that you want all of your students and kiddos to be. The theme that rang through when I was talking to his classmates, he's a wonderful friend. He's always helping kids out every single day. He's very friendly to everybody. He did throw a pie in my face at a fundraiser, so we'll kind of skip past that really quickly, even though it was for a good cause. But even that, he always kind of brings joy to everything. And Mrs. Wong wanted to share this about Tyson. Tyson is a standout in both academics and showing rocks expectations. Tyson comes to school every day with a smile on his face and ready to learn. He is always ready to participate and gives his personal best at everything we do. When learning challenging word problems, he's ready for the challenge. As we approach addition strategies, he's willing to learn and try them all. Working on writing sentences, he's building a strong sentence and ready to share with the class. Not only does he work hard independently, he is also a great partner. He is willing to work with anyone in the class. He helps friends in need and always uses kind words. Just recently, a classmate injured her arm, and Tyson was ready and willing to grab her things and take it to the cafeteria for her. He doesn't do it for the recognition or the Rocks tickets. He does it just because that's who he is. He embodies what it means to be a Shamrock. So help me congratulating Tyson as our Student of the Month.
Congratulations. Next up, Shamrock Springs.
Good evening, everyone. I am Rob Hedges, principal at Shamrock Springs, and we have Mrs. Burns, first grade teacher at Shamrock, and the real celebrity up here is Elliot Burnworth. Ask our first grade teachers to pick a student of the month and to try to hit a different grade level each month. And out of all of the students, Elliot, all of the first graders, Dr. Baldwin probably knows the exact number of first graders. Out of all of the first graders, they picked you. All right. Do you know why? You want to take a guess?
Because I'm kind?
Oh, all right. This was not planned, I promise you. But I asked some of his classmates at lunch the other day why they think we picked him, and they said, number one, he's kind, he's funny, he's a good friend, and a leader. All right, so just a lot of things, what just his classmates said, but Mrs. Burns would like to share a few things as well.
Well, thank you. It's such an honor to be here for Elliot. And in true elementary school fashion, what better way to tell you a little bit more about Elliot is to some of the lifelines that he displays every day in the form of an acrostic poem, because why not? Starting with E, he is one of our most empathetic students. He's always thinking of others, and even if that means putting himself second. Again, agreeing with his friends, he is the leader of our class, not because he wants any sort of recognition, because he does it because it is the right thing. He listens with kindness, whether it's to myself, to any of the other adults, to any of the other children in our class. He's inclusive. He is a child who can and is willing to partner with anybody, no matter how difficult that problem solving might be. He's optimistic. He is in with a smile every single day. Even on some days, we have to use a lot of flexibility, like these snow days. And he's trustworthy. We can trust him to do the right thing, treat people right, even when no one's looking. I really wanted to put Indiana Hoosier as the I, but I decided against it. So unfortunately, I couldn't fit all of the lifelines that Elliot displays, such as perseverance, problem solving, but he can display so many more. If I had all of the letters of the alphabet, I think I could find a lifeline for Elliot for each letter. So thank you. It's been such an honor to be your teacher, and I can't wait to see what we're going to do the rest of the year.
Let's hear for Elliot.
Congratulations. Next up, Washington Woods.
Good evening. My name is Libby Bod. I am the principal at Washington Woods Elementary, and I am here this evening with Rosie McFall, one of our first graders at Washington Woods. And before I share a little bit about why she was nominated, I just wanted to share Rosie was one of the first students that I got to meet this summer before school started when I got the job at Washington Woods. Her mom was doing some work at the school, and the first time I met you, you were giving me hugs. She's a big hugger. She's a very friendly little gal. And as I got to know her a little bit and heard from some of the staff that got to work with her last year, they shared that she grew so much as a kindergartner and she made so much progress, and they just couldn't wait to see what she was going to do in first grade. So I was really excited when Mrs. McCool nominated you to be the Student of the Month, because I thought, how deserving is that? So she couldn't be here with us tonight, unfortunately. She had another meeting, but I have some things that she wanted to share, okay? You ready? Mrs. McCool shared that Rosie has truly stepped into leadership this year, and she is especially skilled at Habit 8, Find Your Voice. She advocates for herself and others, instantly notices when someone else needs help, a compassionate hug, a friend, or someone to stand up for them. She is quick to respond. She is flexible and creative, articulates her feelings calmly, and is a caring friend to others. Rosie also has a great sense of humor and brings laughter and joy to our classroom every single day. Rosie, you are crushing first grade, and I am so proud of you. And I am too. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Up next, Carrie Ridge.
Hello, my name is Andy Hilton. I'm the principal at Cary Ridge. This is Joe McKinney, our counselor, and this is our student of the month, Luciana Oderman. Each month, we talk about different lifelines, empathy, respect, hardworking, and this month it was kindness, and Luciana came to the very top. So here are some things that our kindergarten teacher said. Mrs. Rivera, kindness is free, sprinkle the stuff everywhere. Luciana truly lives by that quote, sprinkling joy and kindness all around her each day. I had the joy of having her in kindergarten, where I saw firsthand how her caring heart and compassion shine so brightly. Each morning she greeted her friends with a smile and a hug, often saying how happy she was to see them. She always was the first one to help or cheer up a friend who was feeling sad. Luciana made sure everyone felt included, especially at recess, where she invited others to join and made sure no one was left out. Her caring heart and thoughtful actions continue to make our school brighter, a happier place. This year in first grade, her first grade teacher, Mr. Byers, said, "When I think about all the students that I've ever taught, Luciana is at the top of the list for kindness and compassion. One thing I've noticed is how she always is thinking of others and what they might need. Be it help or an uplifting word, she exemplifies everything awesome about our kids." And there are a lot of other teachers who said some nice things about you, but I don't have time to read them. I do want to tell a quick story. After she was announced that she was our student of the month, I saw her in the building, and she's like, "Mr. Hilton, I'm going to a meeting with you, but I don't know what we're doing." And so I was like, "Well, you and I are going to go up front, and then I'm going to brag about you." And she's like, "You're going to brag about me?" And so she does all of this out of, this is just who she is. It's not about any award or recognition. It's just she is an awesome kid, and congratulations.
Congratulations. Up next, Maple Glen.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tiffany Buzan, and I am the proud principal of Maple Glen Elementary, and I am joined this evening by Mrs. McClellan, our STEM teacher, and our wonderful student of the month, Colby Castle. So Mrs. McClellan is here because she was the nominator of our student of the month, and she shared some really great things I would love to share with you. But what I love about having one of our older students is I always send an email out and I say, "Hey, Colby is our student of the month. Do you have something to share?" My inbox was flooded within about 10 minutes. We had 20 teachers emailing just saying what a great kid he was. So here are some of the things they said about you. Are you ready? Colby was nominated by his STEM teacher, who shared that he's an exceptional student and even better human being. He's well-behaved, responsible, and consistently sets up positive examples for others. From a young age, Colby has demonstrated maturity beyond his years, always knowing just what to say, what to do to help someone, or how to make a situation better. Since his early days at Maple Glen, Colby has shown a work ethic and a genuine desire to do his best. He goes above and beyond to model what it means to be a caring friend and a responsible leader. His leadership, compassion, and integrity make him someone that others look up to and want to be friends with. Every teacher who has had the privilege of working with you during this time at Maple Glen reached out to me to share some things about you. Even Mrs. Becker, your kindergarten teacher who's in South Carolina, called me to say that she knew from the time she had him that he was going to be a wonderful guy. Colby, you're so deserving of the Student of the Month. Congratulations. Thank you for making Maple Glen so great, and we love having you there.
Congratulations. Up next, Westfield Intermediate School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Annette Patchett. I'm the proud principal of Westfield Intermediate School, and I have a really popular kiddo with me tonight. So Sophia Johnson is our Student of the Month, and as you can see, her entire team came with us this evening, and that was a surprise to me as well, so I'm excited. Thank you for being here. We are thrilled to celebrate Sophia Johnson at Westfield Intermediate School and as Student of the Month. Sophia has been recognized for incredible hard work, her growth and creativity, and her STEM teacher is the one to nominate. When Sophia began her STEM project, she closely worked with her peers and an instructional assistant to find supplies and engage in the activity they were doing. By her second project, Sophia had grown in confidence and independence, and her instructional assistant was able to step back and let Sophia do the work. By the third project, Sophia's confidence and teamwork continued to shine as she helped design her team's ice cream parlor toy. Do you remember that? Yeah. Then one day her teacher looked around and noticed Sophia was independently creating her own version. She was in the STEM lab getting her own supplies. At the table, she was creating her version of a therapeutic toy project, complete with safety gloves, a saw, glue sticks, and a hot glue gun. I promise it was all safe. She had a vision and she worked tirelessly to bring it to life. Do you remember doing that project? Sophia's journey is a true testament to the power of inclusivity, kindness, leadership, and a supportive learning environment. Her growth determination have inspired everyone around her, making her classmates beam with pride and even bringing her STEM teacher to happy tears. Sophia is a joy to be around, always brightening the day of everyone she meets. Her hugs are priceless, and her magnetic personality leaves a lasting impression on all who know her. Congratulations, Sophia. You truly embody the spirit of Westfield Intermediate School. We're proud of you.
Congratulations. Next up, Westfield Middle School.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Justin Mall, and I'm assistant principal at Westfield Middle School. Normally, the principal does this, but when I heard the student of the month was going to be Audric, I kind of insisted. Now, Miss Swan normally wins every battle if she wants to, but she kind of let me have this one because she knew I was really, really impressed with this young man. There are some people in my mind, and do you guys ever have these people where you walk into a room and you kind of see the sunlight beam off of them a little bit? That's been Audric for me ever since I've seen him walk through the doors of the middle school. His interaction with peers, cafeteria, hallway, I've never seen him in my office once. So all those positive things are there. I actually went to Audric ChatGPT, and I took all the comments your teachers made, and I asked it to summarize it. Do you know what it said? It just said 4 exclamation points. That's it. So it turns out that even AI can't put this into words. So let's hear what your teachers actually had to say. From Mrs. Miller in Computer Science, Audric's strength is his friendliness and positivity. He's polite to both friends and staff each and every day. He takes his academic efforts seriously, always showing a love of learning. From wellness, Audric is always hardworking and very cognizant of the needs of others around him. He's always willing to help others and treats everyone with respect. He puts his best efforts to all of his worth, both physically and mentally. Remember, wellness, physically and mentally. The Viper team is happy to have him represent us this year. For Miss Johnson in science, Audric is an excellent role model for self-monitoring and independence. He's motivated to do his best in school and sets a great example for others to do the same. We're so happy to have him on our team this year. And Mr. Edwards in math, Mr. Audric is a spectacular student leader. He's always on task and engaged in our lessons. Audric works hard and is never making poor choices. All the students respect Audric and like him as a friend as well. He has made so many strides academically, and he makes my class wonderful to teach. Can we give a round of applause for Audric?
Congratulations. Next up, Westfield High School.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia Denniston. I'm principal at Westfield High School, and I am so excited to present to you our Student of the Month, freshman Farrah Camp. And I have to say that it's very rare that I would be standing in front of you honoring a freshman. It is only just the beginning of November, Farrah, okay? And, you know, in a school of 3,100, I get feedback from our entire leadership team who has really stood out. Who are you hearing about? Who are the teachers talking about? Who are the coaches talking about that has made such an impression on not only our staff, but also is setting a great example for students? And it was actually the first one to say it, but then others rang in as well, was Assistant Athletic Director Jenny Smith. She said, Farrah Camp. I said, okay, tell me about this Farrah Camp. And I kind of knew who you were, but just didn't know you that well. And Farrah has made quite the statement on our golf team and is now on our basketball team. But I want to read a couple things that coaches and staff members have said about you, okay? This comes from your beloved golf coach, Mr. Bryant, okay, says this about you. Farrah Camp is a natural leader amongst her peers. She truly elevates those around her by her positive attitude, infectious energy, and genuine kindness. Farrah not only brings out the best in her teammates, but many times the competition too. Oftentimes throughout our golf season, opposing players would ask their coaches to alter the lineup so they could be paired against Farrah because she's so enjoyable to be around. In our game of golf, this is about the highest compliment that can be paid to you. She is such a wonderful representation of a Westfield Shamrock. And then your head coach for basketball, and Farrah's in that season right now, but I got to steal her tonight to honor her. But this is from head coach Kelsey Steele, says Farrah embodies what it means to work hard with a joyful heart. From the moment I met her, she radiated with a passion for basketball and care for others. She is not only a great athlete, but also an exceptional leader, dedicated student, and remarkable young woman. We are thankful she is part of our program. And other teachers have also given me some characteristics of you in the classroom, because I know that athletically you have amazing prowess, but also in the classroom as well. So driven, kind, welcoming demeanor, again with a joyful heart, kind to peers in class, encouraging to others, hardworking. I know Coach Miracle was saying you were one of the hardest working in the strength and conditioning team. So that dedication is seen across the board. So Farrah, you have really the whole world open to you. I asked her, I said, it's okay if you don't know. I usually share, are you any schools you're thinking about, any majors you're thinking about, but I said, you have plenty of time. She said, I am kind of looking at IU right now, but she's keeping her options open, and many schools, actually any school would be lucky to have you. So I am so proud of you. I'm excited to see what you do in the 4 years and to champion your journey. I'm going to give you this. There's a Rocks Who Rock sticker inside, and then a little inscripted book, one of my favorite books for you, Farrah. So congratulations. Let's give Farrah Camp a round of applause.
Congratulations. Congratulations to all of our November Students of the Month. At this time, students and their families are invited to the lobby for refreshments and photographs. We will resume the business portion of the meeting in 20 minutes. I want to announce Carrie Larison's on vacation. She planned this a year ahead of time. But she is joining us. Yeah, she is joining us by live stream on the computer, and I think you can probably see her face if I know right. So she is with us. We do have comments from the public this evening. The comment cards must be submitted prior to the start of the meeting. Public comments are limited to items on the agenda. The total time allowed for commenting is 30 minutes. But if we go over by a couple minutes, I think we'll be good to go here. Each commentator is allowed 2 minutes to speak. Please remember, if you go beyond your allotted time, you are using time that belongs to a member of the community who is waiting to be heard also. If someone has already expressed the point you intended to make, we encourage you to defer your time to that person's other perspective that they may have. In the event of time constraints, priority will be given to Westfield Washington School parents, students, staff, and Westfield residents. If someone wishes to make a comment about something not on the agenda, please email us as a school board members. Items open to the public tonight are consent agenda, the 25-26 master contract, Centennial Road reconstruction, rebalancing, Westfield Middle School library, Westfield High School course, and the fall policy updates. At this time, Dr. Atha will read off who's on and who's on deck.
So first up is Kate Johnston, and then Jason Ismailer on deck.
My family sacrificed financially to move to this district specifically for the schools. I have only had positive things to say about the things the school system has done for my child. I come now as a renter concerned at the current plans. There are absolutely no apartments zoned in the new Oak Trace boundaries, and the lowest house for rent is $1,850 a month. There will be no lower income people ever moving into that school without an apartment complex in their boundaries. I'm not sure how this helps with equality in buildings, as there are apartments all over Westfield. Kids learning that kids live in all kinds of homes at all socioeconomic levels seem to be a high priority in rebalancing, but does not feel reflected in this aspect. The school that my apartment complex and several others have been zoned to is WES, the one school that has no room for a large grassy area, even if grass is added, that does not have a contract in place for renovations yet, that does not have supplies ordered for the building projects. Then a new map presented last week pulled part of an established neighborhood back to Oak Trace for next year, but still no apartments. I get there are difficulties with finances and needing change, but it does not feel transparent to say that you think this will be equal, and it was said unequivocally that this building would be finished on time. I'm not sure how you could guarantee this with no contract in place yet. I've worked on large building projects as a head pastor with a large endowment at my disposal, and still I could not control whether supply and demand needs of building projects, even after numerous companies were interviewed, references given, and the top communities' business leaders were involved. My family always knew we would be moving schools this year. That is not the issue. I was unprepared for the fact that decisions were made for WES with the discrepancies listed above. I don't want my child and others in the multiple apartment complexes zoned to WES to internalize that renters deserve the school with no grassy area, space to do field day or the walkathon. Decisions have obviously already been made to lead us here, but having a backup plan feels imperative at this time so all kids have a finished school and a playground for fall 2026 in case it cannot be finished. And a relook at the changing boundaries so apartment renters could go to any school in this district feels like an absolute core value of Westfield and needs to be reconsidered.
Jason's up, and then Kelly Rowe.
Good evening again. I don't have any prepared scripted remarks, unlike previous speeches I've given. My message tonight is going to be very straightforward. Somewhere along the way, the board seems to have forgotten that John Atha works for you, and that you, in turn, work for us. We elect you to monitor and supervise, not to micromanage, but to monitor. And therein seems to be the problem. I get that John Atha comes across as very well-spoken, educated, erudite. He's the kind of guy who doesn't have to put his foot on your neck to get you to shut up. He'll get you to do it yourself. I know because last month at our very first board meeting, he approached me and did everything he could to get me to not talk, told me of all the rules and conditions under which I would be disqualified or shut up or told to go home and not return. To me, that's been a hallmark of this entire process. Anytime that there's been communication or questions asked or dissent, it's shut up, don't ask questions, we know all the answers. And that's just not good enough for me, for the rest of the community here. I ask you, the board members, to think about your role and to find the courage of your convictions to say, are we doing everything that we can on behalf of the community? And are we exercising our proper supervisory role? We still don't have questions answered on Paul Kaiser's contract. Our mayor, Scott Willis, himself has told me that it stinks to high heaven. And what do? We just get silence. We get silence every time we ask for specifics on budget numbers. We get silence every time we try to get into the specifics of where we've had to pry every bit of information out of you. Our community deserves better. It really does. And I implore you, the board members, to think about your role when you're making decisions for us in the community. Thank you.
Jason.
Kelly's up, and then Ryan Cheesem. Yes, Kelly. Row. Ryan's on deck.
Good evening. I want to start by saying I truly value our district and the effort that's gone into this plan. I know it's complex and many people have worked hard to make it succeed, but I cannot support a plan that would place my kindergartner and my current first grader at Westfield Elementary next year. There are too many obvious concerns, and it feels as though the district has decided this plan is good enough. The parents of Westfield Washington Schools have high expectations, and for good reason. We want our children in the best possible environment to learn and grow. Good enough is not what we expect, and it's not what our kids deserve. Putting kindergarten through fifth grade students in a building with more than 800 sixth graders is not the right environment for our youngest learners. These are 5- and 6-year-olds taking their very first steps into school. They need space designed for them, safe, nurturing, and developmentally appropriate, not one shared with middle schoolers even for a year. I strongly urge the board to delay this project by 1 year and allow our children to remain at Oak Trace next year. 1 extra year would give the district time to make a thoughtful, complete transition, not only for the staff, but also for the student, not only for the students, but also for the staff. For my family, this decision matters deeply. If the move is delayed and our kids can stay at Oak Trace, we will stay with Westfield Washington Schools. If it goes forward as planned, we will not. We will be going to private school. And I know we are not alone. Many families in our community feel the same way. The impact of this transition year will reach far beyond just my household. Let's make sure the transition reflects the high standards of our community and what it's known for, and our kids deserve better than good enough.
Thank you. Ryan Cheesem, and then Jolene Daly on deck.
All right, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. It's great to see everybody. Appreciate the community coming as well. I've been reflecting on what to bring to the table today, right? I think we've heard a lot of things from the community, a lot of them very, very valid. And the truth is a lot of things have been covered. But at the end of the day, what I really wanted to focus on, what can we do together? So we have great schools in this community, right? The great schools have brought in some wonderful families. It's built some great neighborhoods. It has also given our city a unique identity. And I think that identity is something we need to remember as we continue to grow. We can honor that small town character, which I know many of you know, while also continuing to plan for that growth going forward. And so where my concerns come in is I think the process that was laid out, and a lot of people have talked about this, but many of us had questions on the inconsistent data, right? People have brought that up. Criteria that can't be defended, etc. But I think more than that, it's understanding the transparency and coming together, understanding that criticisms are coming, both sides are getting defensive. We need to push that aside and work together. And I think that the solution is going to be working through those flaws, if you will. If you look at the past, right, we've had several schools, a high school, Monon, I think even Washington has had some numerous, right, enrollment issues, right? And a lot of that comes from us being reactive and not proactive. I think we have the opportunity to work together to be proactive if the board and if the community can decide to do so, excuse me. So what I'm asking is that we vote no on the current maps. I think what we need to do is we need to come together and really look at what is best for that Westfield Elementary School, what is best for the community, and how do we work together. We know that Midland's coming in. We can help rebalance and make a plan for the future that is proactive, not reactive. We know the growth is really going to be to the west and northwest in the future. So again, being proactive and reactive, or rather than reactive, that's what I'm asking tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Jolene and then Maria Fellows.
Good evening. Transparency and communication. As the president of the HOA at Countryside, I've found these to be the cornerstones of running a neighborhood and can't imagine we should expect less of this board and our administration. From your own website, quote, Westfield Washington Schools values its strong partnership with families and will continue to communicate openly throughout this process. While I appreciate the fact that you have made yourselves available to many of us, I also can't help but think this process was poorly done from the jump, creating a circus of misinformation and mistrust. For example, we still don't have a clear understanding of the cost associated with renovating WES. It was presented to the rebalancing committee and public to be $35 million. It even says this on the website. In the master planning report, it's listed as $12.6 million. And in an email from Brian Kelly, director of construction, it's 18. It's only when we dig a little do we realize that the $35 million is both for WES and the current middle school. Transparency with this would go a long way, but we haven't gotten that. Speaking of transparency, the fact that Dr. Kaiser is working for Performance Services, the company contracted for this project, raises all kinds of red flags and questions. You don't think this should have been communicated or disclosed to parents as soon as it happened? To me, this creates a clear conflict of interest, given that there was no sort of cooling off period. We were also told by Brian Kelly on October 14th that there are a number of HVAC projects and plumbing projects that will be completed over the next 2 summers to address anything that is at or close to the end of its service life. Yet according to Dr. Atha, in the current WES has the newest and best HVAC systems in place because we installed it, and more recently than our other elementary schools. I know from experience my son's classroom has been sweltering. Finally, I'd like to quote Dr. Atha on what he had to say about us in the current, the families that have been raising concerns about our children and their well-being. Families are emotional. They want their voices heard. There might be some questions that have popped up, rumors that aren't true, but they're asking those questions and they're kind of seeking answers, but a lot of that is misinformation and untrue. Let me be clear. We are emotional. These are our children. We think we deserve nothing less than transparency and communication delivered in a timely manner that doesn't make us feel like things are just being made up as we go along.
Thank you.
Maria and then Brandon Nelms.
Good evening. I want to highlight some important but likely unnoticed aspects of the new map that was released on November 6th. Unlike previous maps, this one was created using a different data set, real-time data, rather than the outdated projections that were used for all other maps. I only know this because I asked. Using real-time data makes sense, especially considering Monon Trail, where growth has been atypical, and combined with updated demographic data, it gives a more accurate picture of future enrollment. Looking at the new map, some of the differences were immediately apparent, which is why I asked questions. Schools that were expected to lose students show gains and vice versa. For example, using the outdated projections, Monon Trail would be expected to lose 90 students with the removal of North Glen Village, yet the map shows a gain of 34 students. Even if the boundaries look similar at first glance, these changes will have a significant impact on many of our schools. Washington Woods is currently over optimal capacity, and next year is projected to be even higher in headcount after we rebalance. Maple Glen next year will also be slightly over capacity with these new numbers. Westfield Elementary is now very underutilized and only filled to 67% capacity when you take into account the real-time numbers. Overall elementary enrollments now range from 500 to nearly 700 per school, which does not balance enrollment. Is there a way to rebalance where some of that overcrowding is relieved by our underutilized schools? While most students assigned to a school did not change on this new map in terms of what school they are going to, enrollment numbers at many schools did, and we should be asking questions about that. These changes are more significant than they appear, and I am concerned that they have not been clearly communicated to the board and the community. It makes me wonder if real-time data had been used and a new demographic study had been used, which we now have, in all of our maps, would the map that is proposed look the same? I don't think so.
Thank you, Maria.
Brandon, and then Stephanie Wilhelm.
It's been said more than once, not everyone's going to be happy with this plan. And maybe that sounds reasonable. Maybe it feels like the voice of strong leadership. But with this plan, that phrase has been the excuse that keeps you from seeing what's right in front of you. This isn't about who's complaining, it's about what they're complaining about. Because it's not just one group, it's not just one neighborhood, it's anyone. Anyone who gets assigned to Westfield Elementary. And that's a problem. When a plan creates a school that no one wants to be a part of, that's not unhappiness, it's a warning sign. You've convinced yourselves it can be fixed in time, that one community has to take the hit now so the rest can balance out. But that's not strategy, that's sacrifice. And deep down, you know it. You can hear it in the explanations and the way every concern has an answer that sounds polished but never actually tries to fix anything. Those aren't solutions, those are just ways to sleep at night. You've said not everyone will be happy, but when everyone would feel the same way if they were in this spot, maybe the problem isn't the people. Maybe it's the plan. A yes vote tonight doesn't move us forward. It locks us into a mistake that every one of you hopes will fix itself later. And if that's the case, you're not leading. You're choosing to gamble on success and using our kids as currency.
Stephanie and Trey Mendenhall on deck.
Hello. I'm here to request tabling the middle school boundary vote and reevaluating the maps. Most students leaving Monon Trail are rezoned to Midland, so both schools should feed into the new middle school. All students leaving Oak Trace will be rezoned to Westfield Elementary, so both schools should feed into the current middle school. Yet the proposed map splits them, breaking up neighborhoods and peer groups during a challenging transition, and contradicting the district's stated priority of keeping elementary peers together. I graduated in 1998, and friends attended the brand new Westfield High School that year. It had about 900 students with room to grow to 1,200. Those projections, prepared by our current demographer, Dr. Jerry McGibbon, seemed reasonable at the time, but within 3 years, the enrollment exceeded expectations. The history reminds us that projections, even from the current demographer, are not guarantees. Dr. Atha wrote last month in an email to me, one of the challenges with middle school feeders is that the district is currently looking to relocate the current middle school, north of 191st Street and east of US 31. Including Monon Trail in the east feeders makes more sense in this scenario, and it would be more efficient for transportation. Quote, This shows that the maps are based on a possible relocation, a school that does not exist yet, on land that we do not have yet. Boundaries should reflect where we have schools now. A better plan that keeps neighborhoods together and balances growth would be Midland, Monon, Shamrock, and Maple Glen all at the new middle school. Oak Trace, Cary Ridge, Washington Woods, and Westfield at the current middle school. Midland and the new middle school should start with slightly lower enrollment to allow for proper growth. Let's delay the vote, verify the data, and ensure these maps serve our students and community. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Trey, and then CJ Knapp.
Hey everyone. Wanted to suggest a potential solution, I mentioned this earlier today, to a major sticking point with several of the Westfield Elementary parents, and that is with 6th grade being in the building next year with K through 5. We're looking for a scenario that we've been able to support and advocate for, so I'm bringing an idea that I personally would be supportive of and would restore a lot of trust. The idea would be for the redistricting to take place in the fall of 2026 for 7 elementary schools, but leave Westfield Intermediate in place for 1 more year. The current 4th graders who are not moving buildings next year would stay in their school and finish out 5th grade. The current 4th graders who are already scheduled to move schools next year would attend 5th grade at Westfield Intermediate School, maintaining a lot of the existing operations in that building. A cohort of almost 300 5th graders at WIS next year makes room for the necessary capacity at the other 7 schools to allow transitions to take place, and also relieves the capacity issues currently at WIS. The numbers would need to be verified and run through the process, but this could potentially eliminate trailer pods across the district next year. This phased approach allows construction and redistricting plans to continue moving forward as scheduled. It gives some of our teachers and administrators more time to adjust and keeps 800 plus 6th graders from being under the same roof as our K through 5 students. Then in fall of 2027, Westfield Elementary opens as a completed K through 5 building. The conclusion here is that we need to find a better solution for this transition year at WES. I hope the district can creatively solve this problem, and will consider all options in this transition. Thank you.
CJ's up, and then Caitlin Bond on deck.
Thank you, Trey.
Good evening. I want to share my current concern with the rebalancing proposal, and it is that the new district map hasn't received the same level of scrutiny or community feedback that earlier versions have, yet it's being moved forward for approval. Many families are just now realizing the impact of these boundary changes. They deserve the same opportunity for input and understanding that previous maps received. When we look closely at the data, the results are concerning. 2 schools are still projected to operate at above 100% capacity, while 2 other schools are still projected to operate at under 70% capacity. That's a serious imbalance. And in many ways, this new map actually feels like a step backward from Map 4, which achieved a more even balance across the district. If we're going to ask hundreds of families to change schools, to rebuild relationships, to adjust transportation, and help their kids adopt to new environments in an effort to work together, then the outcome should be clearly met. And this goal that we have all been talking about together is a balanced, equitable enrollment across the district. Right now, it doesn't feel like we're there. The rush to approve this map feels unnecessary and frankly counterproductive. We got to this point together. Let's take the next step of reviewing this new map together as well. It would build trust. It would strengthen confidence. It would quell the fears that you've heard tonight and will continue to hear. And it would ensure that this plan truly supports the students, families, and teachers in the long term. I ask you all to vote no on the maps tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caitlin's up, and then Sarah Rim is on deck.
Good evening, everybody. I want to start by talking about why we're all here tonight, the children. Many of us were fortunate to hear multiple members of the incredible staff and administration within this district speak highly of their students of the month, the first part of tonight's meeting. One of such students was Viking Meadows' own Noah Baldwin. One of the points made by Mrs. Hitch was the impact Noah had made on his teachers and fellow students since he had been at Oak Trace since he was in kindergarten. When we hear these amazing stories, I have to be completely honest. I sat here and I thought, if my son were to win next year, who would talk about him? As we're currently district to go to Westfield Elementary. We don't know the teachers, we don't know anything. Who's going to talk about my son? What impact is my son going to have on somebody that they would nominate him? Because guess what? They won't know him, nor will they know any of the other students. The source of this instability is severe data incompetency. The plan is based on outdated data from 2022. I feel like this has been mentioned by everybody who's spoken before me. The district's own analysis highlights the instability. Nothing conflicts between data used by the committee and the discretion between real-time versus projections. Furthermore, after months of work and dedication by other community members with the rebalancing committee, the most recent map released on November 6th shows yet another shift. We are being asked to vote, or you are being asked to vote on a volatile and moving target. The failure of data leads to strategic failure. Schools are already operating over capacity, are now still projected to remain at capacity, if not over. The plan fails to fix the core problem, which was resulting in widespread disruption, is completely unjustified. As a project manager by profession, I know complex decisions require professional due diligence. We must allow time to focus, evaluate new input, and pivot when the facts change. I'm human. I always want to be right, but guess what? I make mistakes as well. As much as I have to swallow my pride, I have to say, you know what? Let's go back to the drawing board. We've suffered from a profound lack of transparency and having had to fight and beg and dig for every update. I had just a couple seconds. Hopefully that's okay. I'll make it quick.
Please.
We ask that you to please apply the due diligence now. We ask to please just delay this transition to reevaluate the plan based on the verified real-time data that's now available. This delay is crucial because it allows us to get excited and build a sense of community and know who would be speaking about our children. Thank you.
Sarah and Jessica Storer is on deck.
Good evening, board members. I am here to ask you to vote no on the rebalancing. As a parent that does not have students in the district, but as a Westfield taxpayer, my hope is we can work together to make better data-driven decisions around the growth in a more proactive and strategic manner. I wanted to share some ideas for how we can better manage the growth we are experiencing in Westfield for the future. It is inevitable that we will be in a similar situation within the next few years, maybe sooner. And we should work to avoid the confusion and urgency that we have observed through this process with Westfield Elementary School. At the rate we are growing, we should be doing regular demographic studies every year, or at the very least, build an AI model that will allow the district to track the demographics in real time to see how the population is evolving. Another potential solution is a tighter partnership with the city. It appears that the right hand wasn't talking to the left for several years as development moved faster than our infrastructure. A committee comprised of city and school officials that meets regularly to review the city council activity and how it impacts the schools could mitigate future growth problems. Perhaps these ideas have been thought of, but in case not, as a member of the community, I'm willing to meet you at the podium on behalf of my community and to ensure that Westfield schools remain an educational community that is set apart. We must be more proactive with our change management, and this requires transparency and community buy-in, both of which I hope to be better in the future. Although my elementary age students do not currently attend Westfield schools, our family is invested in Westfield, and we truly want to see this community thrive. I look forward to seeing more cohesion, transparency, and collaboration as Westfield continues to evolve. Board members, you are valued, and we're asking you to speak on our behalf. Please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Jessica, and then Liz Wells is on deck.
Good evening, all. I understand that district-wide rebalancing is necessary with the growth we're seeing. It's clear adjustments must be made to meet the needs of our students and schools. But even when change is needed, it must be done thoughtfully because how we transition our students matters just as much as why we're doing it. I've been a middle school teacher for grades 6 through 8, a school counselor for pre-kindergarten through 5th, and I hold a degree in educational leadership from NYU. I've seen how transitions like this affect students academically, socially, and emotionally, and that's why I'm deeply concerned about next year's 6th graders. Under the current plan, Westfield Intermediate becomes Westfield Elementary. Kindergarten through 5th will move in, while our current 5th graders, soon to be 6th graders, stay for one transitional year. But they're being squeezed into a space no longer designed for them. Lockers removed, classrooms converted, and some placed in portables far from their peers, even in the new building layout, which I'm sure we'll see tonight. 6th grade is a critical bridge between childhood and adolescence, a year when confidence, independence, and self-awareness begins to form. For just 1 year, do we really want our oldest students to feel like guests in their own school? Couldn't we be more creative, relocating spaces like choir, instructional coaches, or STEM labs to the portables to keep all 6th graders together and create a micro school within the building? Or better yet, I challenge you to find a solution that eliminates this transitional year entirely, one that gives our 6th graders a true sense of belonging during this important stage of growth. We all want thriving schools and strong communities, but that takes courage. The courage to ask, is this truly what's best for our kids or just what's easiest right now? So tonight I ask you to listen, not just with your ears, but with your hearts, because these decisions shape how our children see their place in our schools and how they will remember the year for the rest of their lives. And we all know those middle school years stay with us. I still remember mine, the teachers, the friendships, the lessons that shaped who I became. Our kids deserve to look back on this coming year with pride and a sense of belonging. Thank you.
Thank you.
Liz is up, and then Song Ling is on deck.
All right, I want to start by saying something that I had not planned to say tonight, but after hearing from another parent tonight about, about how this new map, impacts our Westfield students who live in apartments, I'm absolutely appalled, honestly appalled. These are our kids. These are members of our community, and they deserve to be seen, supported, and considered just as much as anyone else. I truly feel for them and for their neighborhoods. How is this balancing socioeconomic status? Okay, now on to my speech. I have to say, I'm shocked to learn that these new maps were created using real-time data instead of the outdated projections used on all the previous maps. A parent only found this out because she asked the question. Once again, we are begging and pleading for transparency, especially for Westfield Elementary School, especially in this redistricting process. Previously, we had been using projections. This is not something that had been communicated to the community. And now this new map release, just on Thursday, uses real-time data. This single change completely alters what we thought we understood about the maps. Real-time data makes sense, especially with the rapid and atypical growth happening around Monon Trail. Honestly, I wish we'd been using this the whole time. How would these maps have looked different if we had been? At first glance, the newly released map might appear similar to the earlier version, but once you dig in, it's not. Washington Woods, already busting at the seams, will have more students. After rebalancing, Maple Glen will exceed its optimal capacity. Westfield Elementary is sitting underutilized at 67%. These are not small adjustments to a map. These are significant shifts. So I have to ask, how many parents would be here tonight if it had been stated plainly that Washington Woods would gain students after redistricting? How many parents would be here tonight if they knew Maple Glen would be over capacity? Westfield families deserve transparency. Please vote no.
Thank you, Liz.
Song Ling. And then I want to ask, Sarah, did you fill out 2 cards that just spoke? I have 2 cards.
I was running behind, so I had someone fill one out for me, and then I did it right when I ran.
Okay, so this is the last card. I just wanted, I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the last one.
Good evening. I was a member of the Rebalance Committee, and I want to talk about how I feel during the rebalance meetings. During one day, we were a group with like 17 about 17 groups, and each group has school staffs lead the group. And when they presenting the factors want to us to choose which one is important for drawing the maps, they emphasize the demographic balance is very important. And they made us to feel that it's very important to choose because they said if it's not choosing this one, like one school is too good and one school is too bad, it's not good for the whole Westfield community. They also said federal guidance for the DOJ recommends a range not greater than 15% for SES, which I searched online. I didn't find that where's the number come from. So I totally feel that this is a setup for the people there to choose the demographic balance as the key factor and to draw the map. And all the map presented to us all based on the demographic balance numbers. There is not even a single choice available for people to choose to minimize the impact of students. And as a diversity with different colors, I totally don't agree about what you say about the equality. You don't recognize people by their colors. You don't say people rich or poor, free lunch or not. We are all the same. So I don't think the key factor for this whole map thing is for demographic balance.
Thank you. All righty, the next item on the agenda, I want to thank everybody for talking and everything else. But the next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. The consent items include board minutes, accounts, payable, voucher payrolls, personnel, oversight, and out-of-state field trips. These items are consistent with agendas. Our consent agenda have been reviewed by the board in advance for the meeting, are approved in a single motion. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and it has been second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion or any questions? No questions, no discussions, hearing none. All in favor say, can you turn on Carrie's mic, please? Sorry. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion is passed. Dr. Ather, Dr. Baldwin, sorry. I believe you guys have a couple announcements that you guys want to make.
I do. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. In personnel this evening, you just approved some very special announcements and placements for our administrative team. I'd like to make those announcements this evening. First of all, for those that don't know, our wonderful principal at Shamrock Springs, Rob Hedges, has announced his retirement at the end of this school year, and we will round of applause for Rob. Rob will finish out the school year at Shamrock Springs, and we'll have a time to celebrate Mr. Hedges here later this school year, but we value Mr. Hedges and thank him for his service to Westfield Schools. With that, obviously, there is an opening at Shamrock Springs in the principal position. And with that, we have the exciting announcement this evening that starting in 2026-27, our current principal at Westfield Intermediate School, Annette Patchett, is the new principal at Shamrock Springs Elementary School. Also, with that movement of Mrs. Patchett to Shamrock Springs, we have an opening at Westfield Elementary School. With that, we're excited to announce this evening that longtime principal at Cary Ridge Elementary School, Andy Hilton, will be the new principal at Westfield Elementary School. So again, those placements will begin in 2026-27, but I'd like to welcome up Annette and Andy just to say a few words to the board at this time. And again, as they come up, out a round of applause for our two newest named principals.
Real quick, Dr. Baldwin. Rob Hedges, will you stand up, please? And congratulations on your retirement. I'm trying to hide back there in the back.
I apologize. I didn't see him back in the back. Or
I had to hunt him down.
So yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. All right, Annette.
Thank you. Thank you, board. The last 11 years at the intermediate school have been quite an incredible journey, and it's one that I have valued. As the intermediate school chapter is coming to a close, I am truly thrilled and honored to be named the next principal of Shamrock Springs Elementary School. Following in the footsteps of Rob Hedges will not be an easy task. Rob is a Shamrock through and through, and his impact on the school and community will be felt for years. I'm hoping that he plans to return to help with the aquatic biologist. As I step into this new role, I'm excited to continue to build upon the strong culture and traditions and sense of community that already make Shamrock Springs such a special place. Together, we'll continue to create a welcoming and engaging environment where every student can grow, learn, and thrive. Thank you again for this incredible opportunity. I'm proud to call Westfield home, and even prouder to be a Rock. Thank you.
For those who don't know me, I'm Andy Hilton. I just want to thank the board, central office for the last 10 years. It's been an amazing experience. I feel truly blessed to be the principal at Cary Ridge. It's a great group of kiddos, their families, the staff. It's amazing. But moving forward, I would just like to thank you guys as well for the continued just confidence in allowing me to move to Westfield Elementary School. I'm super excited about it. I'm truly blessed to serve our students, their families, and of course the staff. So I just can't wait to get to know all the families and the kids, and then I know it's going to be great. We get an opportunity to build this for what we want it to be, and the sky's the limit. So thank you guys.
I do. Let's clap. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I do a couple stories. So Annette and I go way back. I started as a director of curriculum and instruction in 2004 and crossed paths because I was wanting to be better, and she was well known as a curriculum and instruction person. And then we got to work together in Avon Schools, where you were principal of White Oak, which was a preschool through 4th grade, and you did amazing things there. Were a great instructional leader, and so I'm happy that you get back to kind of your roots of that elementary school, and we look forward to you. You've been really involved in the design of our new school, so thank you for taking on this transition. We appreciate it, that you're willing to do this. And then Andy, if you don't know, Andy and I worked together in Noblesville Schools. Andy worked for the GOAT, John Land, at Hazeldale Elementary School. And what many people don't know, I think, Andy, is you were the first ever assistant principal in an elementary school in Noblesville. We didn't have them, and when Hazeldale went over 800 students, we brought you out of the classroom part-time, then you became the intermediate school assistant principal, then Westfield stole you away because they saw what an amazing educator you were. So again, thank you for everything you've done for Westfield, but in Cary Ridge, and we look forward to you transitioning into this position and doing amazing things. Now, I do want, I'm just being very upfront and transparent here, right? One thing that I've heard is the name Westfield Elementary. I know you can talk to Ms. Patchett that there was some work last year or at some point on a name and so forth. But one of your first orders of business, I think, is to try to get with some teachers and families and see if that's the name we want. We still have time to change it if you determine there's a better name out there.
I think that's a great idea.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Obviously they'll be missed by their staffs at the current buildings, but we look forward to what they can do in their new buildings as well. With that, just to make an announcement, with the opening at Cary Ridge, we will post that position starting tomorrow, and then we will make sure to communicate our process to take our time and make sure we fill that building with the best leadership we can moving forward. So that will be something we'll be working on the next few weeks. My next announcement is a new member of the Westfield family. We'd like to welcome Craig Tierney to our Westfield family who will be filling the position of Communications and Public Relations Coordinator. So Craig, come on up and say a few words. Round of applause for Craig Tierney, our new Communications and Public Relations Coordinator.
As Craig comes up, I will say that we have been limping along and doing well, limping's not a good way, but trying to extend Ashley Knott in all different directions. Ashley oversees our Education Foundation and works on community engagement. And so since December, we did not fill our communications position, and we just felt like recently that we needed to fill that position. We did an exhaustive search had a great candidate pool and did several rounds, even a technical round, because the skills needed to be a communication director are much different than the skills needed to interview. And so we put our candidates through that. And Craig, with a degree in strategic communication and psychology from Butler University, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes. Emerged, and every time we interviewed Craig, we liked him even more. And so I'd like to welcome Craig, give you an opportunity to say a few words and introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm really excited to take on this role. Like Dr. Athas said, Butler graduate, but also more importantly, I'm a K-12 Westfield Shamrock. So it kind of feels like a homecoming here. My career has been really varied. I've been very lucky to have a lot of really cool roles. A theme throughout a lot of those roles has been education. So I just feel kind of like things are coming full circle in my life to bring me back to this role. I can't wait to jump in, get some strategy going, get some communications going, obviously, because there's been a bit of I think it's okay to say that there's been some limping along. We'll fix that. And yeah, I think the last thing I'll say is just the process was kind of arduous, but I feel like it needed to be arduous, and I'm so blessed to be the one chosen for this. Just feels very meaningful as a role, at least more meaningful than making some rich people richer, which is what a lot of my past roles have been. So I'm just really excited to get going.
One more thing, and I like to point out facts, right? I think that's helping connection and knowing people. So you are a Shamrock kindergarten through, and actually attended Washington Elementary School through 3rd grade, transitioned to Washington Woods in 4th grade, and then back to Westfield Intermediate for 5th and 6th grade before the middle school. So you were kind of in the middle of that transition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's someone that we can talk to if you have questions. But Craig, welcome aboard, and we look forward to you telling kind of our story. So thank you.
I just want to piggyback that. Although I don't know you very well, I do know your parents very well. And they are Westfield grads and Westfield people through and through, and just a great family. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay, congratulations to everybody. Each month, we look forward to hearing updates from our construction partners on the progress and projects across the district. This evening, we are pleased to welcome 2 of our construction managers who will be sharing the updates on several Destination Westfield projects currently underway. We will hear from Matt, who is from Meyer and Najum first, please. Matt?
All right, good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to provide an update again this month. So we'll get rolling through our projects. The drone picture there is of the new transportation facility with the extension of Town Road. So with that, on the new transportation facility, work completed to date. The installation of the exterior metal panels continued. Site concrete and asphalt installation continued. We completed the exterior painting on the bus canopies, the fuel station, the electrical connections continued. On the interior, completed floor installation and final painting on all walls, and then we actually had our first interior punch list walkthrough last week. Transportation contingency usage is at 42%, so 497,000 of the 1.1 million has been used to date. The picture there on the top right is of the bus garage, half of that bus garage. So you can see those are 5 of the bays, I believe, on the west side. The other 5 bays are on the east half of the building. The bottom picture is of the mezzanine. That is partial mechanical and partial storage. On the right there, you can see the cage for the new freight elevator. That'll get you up to that level. Items allocated to contingency since the last meeting. There were some site changes, minor with the monument sign getting designed and installed, some curb changes around the fuel station, and then in the bus wash bay, there was some adjustments to the heater tubes and the ductwork in there to get all that to fit. Picture there on the right, you can see also working on site furnishings. The flagpole got installed this last month. They're working on dialing in the lights for that in this picture. So that is the new east elevation and the entry into the main portion, office portion of the transportation facility.
Could you tilt your mic up?
Oh, yes, sorry. Thank you. The next 60 days, complete those interior punch list items, start the sanitary lateral installation from the new main that is installed up Town Road and from over on Little Eagle Creek. Landscaping will continue around the site, and then we'll work on installing the remainder of the perimeter site fencing. The bottom left picture is a drone image of the new fueling canopy where the buses will pull in and refuel on a daily basis. And then the right picture is an interior view looking out of the new lobby and entry on the east side of the building. Town Road and Citizens Westfield Utilities project, which is also kind of tied into the new transportation facility and getting utilities and access back to that facility. A lot of work's really happened on there the last 2 months. We have continued the installation of the new sanitary, and that is nearly complete. So the whole run from Little Eagle Creek over to Newtown Road, Uptown Road to the transportation facility, and then over to the new middle school on Centennial is nearly complete. And they've actually started some testing on the new sections for citizens' approval. The water line installation started, so we got the first section getting ready to start from the intersection there at Ditch all the way down to the eastern edge of Eagletown. You've probably seen all that 36-inch pipe laying across there, and they probably got about a quarter of that installed to date. And then the second part of that note is the 30-inch dual mains are currently being drilled, bored under Little Eagle Creek, and those actually got started today. So that water line installation is progressing really well. Town Road, north of the 32 right-of-way, that new intersection, the last 2 months, got a lot of progress done there. The road was rough cut and the soil was stabilized. Installed all the storm lines, curb inlets, and under drains, and then also got the stone base and concrete curbs installed. And then following that up with the asphalt installation through binder was completed. Part of the intersection work is also the work out on State Road 32, the NDOT portion. We completed the Comcast cable relocation and removal of the shared poles with Duke. So we probably saw a couple poles there the last couple weeks still in the middle of the intersection. Those finally got taken down and relocated out of the way. 32 was milled to get that existing top coat taken down and prepping it for the new top surface and striping. Completed the demo on the north side of the road. In the cut there, got that built up with the new stone base and asphalt binder, so that's been completed. Now we're just waiting on getting the top coat placed for the entire stretch there along 32. And we've installed the 2 northern signal pole bases for the new intersection lights. The drainage ditch and pond, all the riprap has been installed. The slopes have been stabilized with grass and straw blankets. The Town Road contingency usage is at 6%, so 76,000 of the 1.2 million, and nothing has been used since the last report. So what you can see here in the pictures, I'll just kind of point real quick. That is the new pond for all the offsite drainage that will take the water from transportation in the new middle school. There were 2 series of ditches. This is the southern flow, and then there was a northern flow that all tie into the new drainage, like I said, from Town Road. Westfield Transportation Site, and then everything over at the middle school will come that way to that pond. You can kind of see there the extension of State Road 32 on the north side of the road. And let me drop back real quick. And then in that picture, you can see way up here in the corner is the new transportation facility. The next 60 days, we'll continue with the water line installation, complete the sanitary main testing for acceptance by citizens. On the NDOT portion of the work, we'll complete the top coat and striping, cut in the signal detection loops, and then work on getting the remainder of the poles, including the south side, those bases installed, the poles standing, and then the signals across State Road 32. And those will be active once we all get State Road or NDOT approval and their final inspections. So you can see in these pictures, the left picture is the water line work. This is the intersection at Ditch Road and 32. So we've started the 36-inch main here in front of the gas station and, like I said, headed west towards Eagletown. And that's just one of the sections of the large 36-inch water pipe. And then just a couple drone photos, just point out, so this is the new extension of Town Road heading north from State Road 32. So that was recently completed up through Binder. And you can again see the drainage ditch here on the south side with the culvert, which will pick up the pond from the middle school. And then there's a drainage ditch up here on the north side that picks up the existing drain tile from the fields. Then again, just a little larger picture of the water line there along 32 from Ditch to Eagletown. And then we have the Westfield Operations Building, which is at the current transportation facility site. Work completed to date on the warehouse building. The concrete foundations were completed and the slab was poured. Load-bearing CMU walls were installed, and then the hollow core plank set are the flooring for the mezzanine were installed. The steel structure installation started, and roof and wall panels were delivered. The structure is probably about 90%. They're buttoning up the last little section over the mezzanine that we had to leave open to get those planks installed. And then the face brick installation started around the perimeter up to the water table level. Contingency usage is currently at 28%, so 122,000 of the 434,000. There were some civil changes needed after the permit review process. Those were incorporated, and then there were some design changes, some minor items on interior coordination. There was some floor sinks and raising of existing sprinkler lines. Next 60 days, we'll look to complete the masonry installation there at the warehouse. Overhead plumbing and electrical rough-ins will continue. The metal roof and wall panel installation will get started. Site utilities around the warehouse will continue. And then they'll start cutting in, digging in the loading dock for that delivery access on the west side of the building. The top picture is a view from inside the warehouse on the east wall looking west towards what will be the mezzanine location. And then the bottom picture is a drone image from the southeast corner of the property looking back towards the west there at Ditch Road. You can see there in the bottom corner, just north of the playground, that'll be the location of the new warehouse there on that campus. Shamrock Station, work complete to date. Final inspections were completed. Certificate of occupancy was issued, and we had our punch list walkthrough and are currently working on wrapping up those last few items. Bottom left picture is the image from within the new rock shop there within the facility. And then the right picture is just image of the northwest corner of the building and the entry. Next 60 days, like I mentioned, we'll be just working on wrapping up miscellaneous punch items to get that construction completed. Left picture is the image portion of the new kitchen that the foodies will be using. Really nice space. And then the picture on the right is the interior image of the new event center gathering space. And that is all I had. And any questions?
I just did want to ask, relative to this recent cold snap we've had, any impact on being able to continue with the water main?
No.
Okay.
No, they'll be able to continue and dig. Utilities are actually a good process to continue on in the winter months.
And the asphalt application is simultaneous to that being laid?
No, they're actually separate, although we do have a cut or two across the Newtown Road, and we coordinated with the city of Westfield in bringing that up to binder. We will not put the top coat on Town Road until all the utilities are through and cut through. And then we'll come back in the spring and probably end up putting the top coat on. But the intent is for State Road 32 and the NDOT portion is to get that top coat complete before the plants close here for the winter months.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Will 32 be one lane at all, or can you work off that road, putting on?
Yeah, this one lane at times. We have a maintenance of traffic plan that the city and NDOT have approved, barrels, flaggers, and such to control the traffic while we're working out there. But at the end of the day, it's put back and it's 2-lane traffic. So there's minor interruptions throughout the day and some street closures, which would mainly be there within Eagletown.
Okay.
Yep, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Scott Willis from Garmin Construction. Wells, sorry. Sorry, Amber.
Thank you for the opportunity to give an update tonight on the Midland Crossing in Shamrock Springs Elementary. We're going to talk about the progress and then look ahead and then cover the contingency log. I will start with Midland Crossing and just start with some drone photos, some progress photos. This is what the site looked like in July. As you can see, the frame is built, but we're still working on the roof system right here. And then fast forward to September, all of the roof trusses are installed at this point, and as you can see, the exterior Dens glass or siding is being installed around the building. And then the November 5th picture, this was just taken last week of the site. All of the parking lot and roadways are into binder, and all of the building is enclosed at this point with all the exterior sheathing, and most of the masonry is complete. Just some more pictures from a different angle. As you can see, the brick is progressing all the way around the building. And then the only piece of masonry we have left is this is the education wing in Unit A. So if we get about 2 more weeks of good weather, we should be done with the brick on the exterior of the project. So just some progress items. We're about 95% complete with all of our utilities. The only thing we have to do is get Citizens Energy approval and then make our final connections or final tie-ins. Geothermal system is complete and all the paving is into binder. We will wait till the spring before we put the final finished asphalt and the striping. On the inside of the building, we are probably 65 to 70% complete with all interior framing. We've started hanging drywall, we've started finishing drywall and painting. And in 2 of the 3 education wings, we are complete with ceramic tile as well. So finishes are progressing really well. We're continuing to work on the mechanical, plumbing, and electrical systems in the wall and above ceiling. We have started ceiling grid in the education wings out of 2 of the 3 education wings. Things that we will be working on here in the next few months, getting the building completely dried in, finishing the masonry. We're probably 50% complete with all the glass and glazing. It will just follow the masonry around the building. We'll be starting the floor system in the education wings, and then as weather permits, we'll be installing or start to spread the topsoil around the site. Our current the original contingency was $1.9 million, and we have spent $321,000 to date for a balance of $1.64 for the contingency for Midland. Shamrock Springs, again, just some progress, some drone photos here. This is what the site looked like in July. The frame is up, and we're just starting to work on the roof framing system. September, we had a lot of the roof trusses have started, and as you can see in this area right here, we've started the shingle roofs. And then last week, most of the roof trusses are complete with the shingle roofs are progressing as well, and the building is getting enclosed with the exterior metal studs and the DINS glass. Again, just some more photos. Around the back of the building, this is area E and F. So brick is starting around the back side of the building, moving around over to the gymnasium on this side. All of the slabs are complete, so slab on grade, slab on metal deck. We've tied in the laterals for the geothermal system. We still need to complete the mains for that portion of work. The roof system is ongoing. The shingle roofs are almost complete, and then now we're going to get ready to start all the flat roofs. We're working on the block on the inside of the building, so in areas E and F back in the mechanical and electrical rooms. And then we'll be working on the masonry all through the winter months. Inside, we're putting the stairs in areas A, B, and D, and then we're working on the sprinkler and mechanical plumbing and electrical systems. So in the coming months, the main goal here is to get this building with temporary enclosure through the end of the year so we can provide temporary heat so we can continue to work through the winter months. So we'll be starting framing and all the mechanical, plumbing, and electrical systems installation. For the contingency for Shamrock, we started at 1.9 million. We've spent 200,000 to date for a new balance of 1.78. Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, we thank you for being here tonight. We look forward to watching these projects to continue to take shape. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the 25-26 master contract between the Board of School Trustees and the Westfield Classroom Teachers Association, which Dr. Baldwin will present.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Tonight I bring for your approval the 2025-26 master contract between the board and the Westfield Classroom Teachers Association. First of all, I'd like to thank many members of WCTA who are in attendance this evening, and after your approval, we'll say a little bit more about our relationship with that group and how we appreciate all of them. Some basic information and background about this master contract. It is a one-year agreement. Our current scale that we had in place stays the same, with our base pay remaining at $46,000. All teachers who were not originally placed, the new teachers were already placed, but all teachers that were with us last year that are still with us will move up one step on the scale. And just so you know, the existing pay scale is based on a 2.7% increase based on each step. So each teacher will move up one step based on the years of experience. We did add an additional step on our bachelor's scale. It did top out at 20 years of experience. We added a 21st year, so those at year 20 would move up to 21 and get that increase. We did keep the cap at the master's level at year 27, but those teachers who were already at year 27 or that step will receive a $1,000 stipend in lieu of the step for them. We are required and do have those that have acquired the literacy endorsement, and I will communicate that to teachers that they provide documentation on their Indiana teacher's license that they've acquired that literacy endorsement. They will receive an additional $150 stipend added to their salary placement. So those are the financial additions that are part of this contract. In terms of language, the biggest language change that we do have is we are transitioning from, currently we differentiate our sick and personal time. We have agreed in this agreement to put those together in paid time off, or PTO as we call it, and that will be placed at 15 days of paid time off for the teachers to use as they see fit during the school year. So with that, with any questions, I ask that the board approve the 2025-26 master contract between all of you and the Westfield Classroom Teachers Association.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the 25-26 master contract between the Board of School Trustees of WWS and the Westfield Classroom Teachers Association as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It has been moved and second to approve the 25-26 master contract. Anybody have any questions? Harry?
Well, I was going to say, once again, thank you for all the hard work that everybody's put into this. I know it takes a lot of time, but I love the relationship that's been grown and maintained over the years, so thank you again.
Yeah, if you want to put Carrie's mic on just a second. Carrie and I got to sit in on the negotiations, and we thought they did a great job looking out what's best for everybody, as far as the kids, the teachers, and keeping everybody as happy as we can. I know I got a lot of friends that teach in other districts, and they've already applied over here, so, I mean, I think we're in a good place. We've been in a good place. So I'm just excited for everybody and everything else as far as that goes. So thank you guys, both the teachers union and central office.
Yeah, I was basically just going to say the same thing Mike did.
Did everybody hear that? She said ditto. So, all right, anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is approved.
So if I could speak just now briefly, if you don't mind, just give me a moment. I'd like to call Chris Sluter, President of the Association, up. And as he comes up, I would like to just say how much I appreciate obviously all the teachers in the district, members of WCTA. I think, like you said, we have a unique relationship. We all are in it for the same goal, and that's to support our teachers. And I can't say enough, it's a reflection of the leadership of Chris Sluter with that group. I know all of you would agree. I would like to say a special shout out to the negotiations team with WCTA, Chris, Michelle Whitehead, Andrew Schaff, Christine Pepio, and Jody Brooks. What a great group to work with. And again, as you compare to other districts, I think our relationship and how we work together to move this district forward, I can't say enough. So Chris, if you don't mind coming up and saying a few words. So a round of applause for Chris Sluter and WCTA.
Can I stand with me, please? You can just stand
Chris, you
where
may
you
need
are.
to turn on your mic.
Oh, sorry. We were just here, the teachers wanted to come with me tonight to express gratitude for the settlement. We realize that financial times are harder across the state because of what the legislature has done over the past couple of years. In spite of that, we've come up with a good settlement that I think is good for our teachers. So thank you for that. Along with the lines of what Chris was saying, you know, I tell my union colleagues at other districts that not everybody has it like we have it here. I've been involved in bargaining for probably close to 20 years at this point, and the folks that we always deal with, you all, we always approach bargaining with a sense of collaboration and openness and transparency, and that's not the same everywhere at other districts. So that's something we have special here that continues on even now. So thank you for that, and we appreciate the vote of yes. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you all for everything you guys do for our kiddos. All right, for the final item on the business and operations portion of the agenda, Centennial Road reconstruction work for the Westfield Middle School West, return to Dr. Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. For your consideration this evening is a change order number 1 for the Westfield Middle School project. Just to kind of go back in time a little bit, timing was of the essence, obviously, to get things going as far as construction was concerned on the new middle school. That being said, there was a contract that was signed as far as a gross maximum price on this particular project, with the understanding that road work or the reconstruction of Centennial Road, as well as the 32 intersection, were going to have to be brought back up again as the plans were unfolding for those particular projects as far as completion. Again, that maximum price was set and it was approved. And so through this change order, what this will allow us to do is do the necessary work on the Centennial Road improvements. And so with that change order, we were able to advertise legally for those bid openings, and we were very, very excited about the participation with those bids. We actually had 6 bids that were submitted for this particular project. Again, the legal advertisements were in twice in the local newspapers. And again, we did good work as far as attracting those bidders and with that turnout. That also being said, I just want to bring to the board's attention that initially the intent was to have one bid package as far as the 32 intersection as well as the Centennial Road reconstruction was concerned. But because of some of the additional planning that needs to be in place for the safety reasons for that 32 intersection, we decided upon this last summer to kind of take that out as far as the Centennial Road and do that separately. And so again, this evening, that change order that I'm bringing for the board's approval is part of that project. But that also being said, if I'm able to speak towards the intersection, Dr. Atha, that the work is looking positive as far as the work with the city of Westfield as well as NDOT, and that intersection potentially becoming a roundabout. So again, we were very concerned about the safety at that intersection. And so the potential there is that we would be able to introduce that roundabout, but that would be at a further date. But I also wanted to introduce that as an initial concept here this evening. Very excited about the potential of that happening. But as far as the approval this evening, I'm asking that the board approve change order number 1 in the amount of $1,974,882 as outlined in AI document G701-2017 to be added to the guaranteed maximum price under AI document A133-2019 Exhibit A. And this approval will provide the adequate time to prepare for the commence construction for the Centennial Road improvement construction that we would be able to start in April of 2026. And so again, I ask that the administration recommends that the board of school trustees approve change order 1 in the amount, again, of $1,974,882 for the Centennial Road reconstruction work portion of the total Westfield Middle School West project.
Thank you. At this time, I will entertain a motion to, excuse me, approve the change order 1 in amount of $1.9 million for the Centennial Road reconstruction work portion of the total of the Westfield Middle School West project as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second for Carrie. It has been moved and has been second to approve change order 1 for the Centennial Road reconstruction work for a portion of the total Westfield Middle School West project. Any discussions?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Greg in this setting, I know, and I appreciate us going through this in detail in the Finance Committee. The original presentation of the Westfield Middle School West during Destination Westfield previously included this, correct?
It did.
And so the bond that's already been issued includes these amounts and no additional financing is needed?
That is
just
correct.
Stair-stepping?
So what it essentially does is obviously the budget that was set for this particular project was set and approved. And so this would have been part of the overall budget, but as far as that maximum price that was agreed upon at the time so that we could move forward with construction, that's where this change order comes in and being able to add to that maximum price. But it was all part of the overall budget for this project.
Very good. And they're looking at putting the roundabout there and
Yes.
putting this stoplight, whether or not you like roundabouts or not, but hopefully during the school year, it makes things go a little bit easier. Any other questions or discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll begin with the curriculum part of the agenda with two updates from Dr. Ryan Hoover. The first is a high ability update. Dr. Hoover.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. I wanted to just do a couple of quick updates on some of the work that's going on in the curriculum department. The first one is our broad-based planning committee. That's going to be a meeting with our high ability programming. That's going to be a meeting that's this Thursday from 1 to 2:15. Our principals did a great job of sharing these invitations with families through newsletters and encouraging community participation. We have a very well-rounded group, but we are still welcome to open to new members joining this organization and this group. This advisory group does is it's helping to strengthen our high ability programs throughout our district, and we want to try to bring some different perspectives. We work to improve, refine, and align services that are equitable and high quality learning opportunities for all of our learners. This will be K through 12. And the meeting focus this year will really be, first one will be on identification processes, assessments, qualifications, and criteria, and then aligning with some neighboring districts. We've done some work. Dr. Thompson has been leading this process, and she's done a lot of work looking at different models throughout the state and the county just to kind of ensure that we are, meeting expectations, but we also want to have our own signature on that. And so meeting 2 and 3 will focus on some different information from a high ability audit that we did a few years back, and then just some of our growth and some of the SMART goals that we want to set that'll hopefully then determine our high ability programming moving forward. So we just wanted to give an update to let you guys know that we're beginning that work with our several community members. Also, there will be teachers and administrators on that committee as well, and we look forward to doing a report back in probably early spring just to update you on that. The second update that I want to talk about was our Exceptional Learners Committee has continued to work through the fall with as we plan our special programming structure for redistricting and rebalancing. Our staff from every building, along with some parents from our CPAC, have been actively involved. And they've spent really the last few months gathering input, reviewing ideas from school teams, and narrowing down program models to best support our students. We're really trying to create a student-centered continuum of services across all schools, and while keeping students connected to their peers as they progress through elementary and middle school. And this is super important for our students with the most significant needs, as they hopefully won't have to travel across all the schools in the district, but also follow through a feeder model. We are down. This has been a lengthy process with like 40 or 50 school members, teachers, administrators, and also members from our community. And they looked at several options of how we would do servicing to our students moving forward. And they're really down to two different main options. In both of them, every elementary school would actually have a special program, with our 4 largest schools housing more programs due to their space and resources. The biggest differences come down to how specialized programs are grouped. So in one model, certain groups, types would be located at specific schools, and the structure would allow teachers supporting students with similar needs to collaborate closely, but would also result in higher student concentration in a couple of those buildings. In the other model, our 4 larger elementary schools would each host a mix of program types, and each smaller school would be paired with essentially a partner school. This spreads students evenly across those schools, reduces the number of school transitions for students who may need more support over time. So in this process, the staff were currently reviewing those 2 models, and then they were submitting final feedback. We will finalize that model by the end of the day, and hopefully then be able to share that update with you shortly. I believe Dr. Lindsay Topman-Michael has been overseeing this with her team. They've done a great job of working through this process and really taking a lot of considerations into perspective. I believe at last count over 100 people, just under 100 people had filled out the survey of what they did was the committee of about 40 to 50 did most of the legwork, but the survey went out to all special education teachers and administrators in the district, so that way they had an informed decision. They wanted to get as much impact from those on the committee as well as those that were not on the committee but that are part of that, working with our students. So once again, just an update, but just wanted to let you guys know that a lot of great work's going on with some of our student groups, and our district leaders are doing a great job, as well as our school leaders. So any questions on either one of those two updates?
Nope, sounds like you still have people involved and going in the right direction. Any other questions? Moving along, our next agenda item on the rebalancing plan recommendation, and Dr. Hoover.
Thank you, President Steele and board members. So as Mrs. Pratt pulls up this presentation here, I just wanted to first start off by, I'd be remiss if I didn't start off by saying just a huge thank you to all the members of the rebalancing committee that took the time, the effort, and really came and gave not just 6 evenings of their time and effort of meetings, but also all the time we asked them to do work at home, filling out surveys, talking to friends and neighbors, to be informed, and just and we had over 100 people to begin. And I'd also like to say just a huge thank you to our administrators in the district, who also served on all, on our rebalancing committee, our district and our school leaders, who took the time not only to do this, but also to be a huge part. They were the, essentially ran the tables and tried to help facilitate. They facilitated the meetings at each table as objectively as they could. In some situations, example, in some schools such as our middle school with Mrs. Swan and Mrs. Dennison, who quite honestly don't have necessarily any students that they're going to be rebalancing, but still took the time and to be a part of it because they know that all these kiddos are going to be theirs sooner than later, and so they wanted to make sure that they were a huge part of that as well. So just a huge thank you to all involved with that. I'm going to very quickly, I will tell you that this process was, of course, a process in that, very lengthy, and a lot of information to share, but at the same time, in the spirit of trying to not, be redundant in some of the information, and also not share every last detail of what occurred during each meeting, I really did try to work with some of the members that served on the team and kind of go through a presentation that hopefully we'll share the highlights of what occurred during the meetings, what kind of occurred towards the end of the meetings, and then really what occurred post-meetings in these last 5 to 6 weeks. So I'm going to kind of go through this, and then, of course, if you have questions, I'd be happy to do my best to try to answer those as we move forward. So just real quick, I wanted to just kind of go back. If you look, all of these slides, all of the slides that we took that have data are going to be on our website as well. But I wanted to just kind of very quickly talk about, our need of school rebalancing, and obviously it's a process of looking at our boundaries and a more equitable distribution of resources and facilities. In this particular case, we are obviously still one of the fastest growing district in the state of Indiana, nearly over 600 students in the last 5 years, and growing. Obviously, some of that growth has come at different schools at different times, and so we have worked through that. But in 2026-27, we'll be adding 2 new elementary schools and going from 6 to 8, and then the following school year, looking at a new middle school that would be opening up in 2027, having two middle schools. So that's really kind of the plan that has been in place now for a couple of years, back when Destination Westfield started, and as we started looking at just some of the needs of the district. Real quick, and I will not read all of these slides to everyone just because there's a lot of information, but I will try to pause just to give enough time to look at them as well. And as always, welcome to make this presentation open to anybody who would be interested in it as well, of course, and we would more than happy to put this on our website. This just kind of shows our data over the last 5 years of our schools. You can see Obviously, some trend data, some schools going up at a faster rate, some kind of sitting at a number and kind of maybe plateauing a little bit. And then obviously below you can see our intermediate school and middle schools as well. This information was all shared with the rebalancing committee. Nothing really too new. You can see that we're kind of going up at a pretty progressive rate. And
Are these current numbers or old numbers or future projections?
Mr. Steele, would you like me to answer direct questions from the audience?
This is our numbers from this year.
These are current numbers, sir?
Well, they were, when they were pulled for the committee in September.
Bear in mind also, just from the other day when I was doing these numbers, on a daily basis, numbers do fluctuate, obviously. And so, you know, really, I would say, and when we look at Power School, I don't know if there's been a day where we're not gaining or losing to some degree, but these were the numbers to begin the year with as far as when we started with the rebalancing committee. Did I answer?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can go on.
Just go on.
Okay. So what I wanted to do, I kind of broke this into two sections, sort of the rebalancing process and then what I called sort of the post-rebalancing process. And I tried to limit about 6 to 8 slides on each to try to give, you know, everybody here and obviously those watching an understanding of what happened. I do think it was, without going through every last detail of the rebalancing, I wanted to ensure that we, you know, quite honestly recognize the work of the committee, of the different members that were on that committee and the work that they put into it. So just very quickly, so we shared this information. You know, the purpose was to engage our committee members to provide a recommendation for our Ready School boundaries. We talked about meeting we met 6 meetings in a row, Wednesday evenings, starting in September through October. We used an approach called collective inquiry and consensus building, which was really based upon discussion and open discussion in table groups, a lot of learning and shared learning, and then shared understanding of enrollment, demographics, and growth projections. So, you know, those first couple of meetings were really focused on sharing the information that we had from our demographic studies, talking about the rebalancing process and kind of what goes into it. And then we shifted through that and eventually began to look at numbers, maps, enrollment numbers, different examples, and then kind of made changes based upon survey and feedback. The committee makeup was really, like I said earlier, parents, teachers, principals, district leaders, a lot of community representatives. It was a full invitation. Dr. Atha sent out an open invitation several times to the community, and people were asked to voluntarily participate. Nobody was denied, obviously, if they wanted to participate. We did ask, if at all possible, that members commit to the process all 6 meetings, which was a lot, obviously, for parents that have children in many, many events, just because it was imperative that that members were taking information from previous meetings and doing surveys and doing information so that way they were able to be well informed as we kind of participated. This is just a quick little map that kind of shows a general, you know, disparity of, and so there was some parity amongst the different schools and the different levels. So representation of about, you know, what is, I think 93 responses on that. And then at our committee meetings, we really tried to, I tried to highlight this on one slide. It was really an hour and a half, and it went very quickly. It started off with shared and new learning. So we would usually end the meeting with feedback, surveys. Sometimes that was done during the meeting, sometimes that was done after the meeting. And then we would bring that information back and try to share any new learning that came up. We did a lot of group analysis and discussion. There were many times where we would set, you know, timers and do a 15 or 20-minute individual time or group time, and then we tried to provide opportunities for feedback and sharing, exit slips, surveys, group share-outs, things like that. And then we tried to provide updates from that at the beginning of each meeting and summarizing data. We really didn't want to spend a ton of time at each beginning of each meeting summarizing the previous meeting just because we had so much information to cover. And then eventually we did kind of move into maps and the map drafts and the different feeder options that we had looked at. And those were presented at meeting 4 and then really kind of covered at meetings 4, 5, and then a little bit at 6 was the final stages of that. And then we updated that. The results of the committee work, excuse me, I'll go back here. We went through those maps. There were different iterations of the maps. I will tell you what ultimately happened was we started off with 3 maps and had the committee do various consensus activities for those. Admittedly, there was not consensus on the 3 additional maps. There were still some questions about several of them. And as we listened to that feedback and heard from the committee members, it became evident that certain maps began to rise sort of to the top while others fell off. And so it was a combination of kind of taking all the information, looking at what people liked about certain maps, what they didn't like about other ones, and then trying to recreate new ones based off that information. So sometimes we would refer to it as map, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And really, I think you could all but argue that it was really 3 maps to start with and then reduced to 2 because one of them was actually just very poor, the way it broke down some of the different considerations that the committee had highlighted. And then ultimately those maps or the iterations of those maps were improvements based upon feedback from the different committee members, based upon things, like I said, that we liked and that came across throughout the meeting. So, like I said, depending on how you looked at it, you could ultimately say that it was various maps that then morphed into a favorite map. So when we did vote on it, there were still 3 different choices to look at, but the map 4 that was posted originally was ultimately the one that was voted on that evening. 81% of the people that were in favor of map 4 at that time. And then we also had them look at the feeder options. There were really only 2 feeder options available. As we worked with our demographers and also through our PowerSchool predictive enrollment consultants, and really looked at the concentration of where students were, where the growth was going to be, and then obviously the enrollment and proximity, and then feeder models was one of the top priorities. It ultimately became clear that there was only really 2 models that we were able to look at because of the location of some of our buildings and the extremities that they're on, the outskirts of certain of our boundary lines. It ultimately became a decision between Monon Trail and Oak Trace, whether they went east or west. And those were really the 2 map differences, with Monon Trail being going towards the new middle school, and along with Midland and Shamrock and Maple Glen, or vice versa, with Oak Trace doing the same and Monon going east, along with Washington Woods, Cary Ridge, and Westfield Elementary School. So that was the 2 different feeder models. The good news was, and I'll share this later, but in both models, the free and reduced numbers were down to a 7% difference in one model, about a 4% difference in the other. The enrollment in both of them, although it started off, in one model they were starting off at roughly 15 students apart, 10 students apart. These were projections. And then one model, they were starting off about 100 kids apart, but because of the growth patterns in that model, in 5 years, they were projected to be within about 50 students of each other. So one of the things that we shared, and I'll just kind of share my own background on this, is being through in a school system as a parent and as an administrator that's gone through multiple rebalancings. Not that it's not important that you do a great job at the elementary level, it is at every level. But when you have 2 middle schools, when you go from 1 middle school to 2 middle schools, I personally believe that it's extremely important that you try to make those 2 middle schools as equal and have the same opportunities and the same numbers as at all possible. I've been to a situation where I've seen sort of one middle school starting off at a much higher population and having a very different student population than the other, and it does, in my opinion, create a great deal of stress and divisiveness through a district. And so that was really something that we shared with our constituents, was that we really tried to make our middle school feeder schools, something that's balanced, and I'll be showing more information on that later. Obviously, that process is a little bit easier because you're only looking at 2 schools as opposed to in our elementary situation, which was 8. So just something to kind of, just some general information I wanted to share that our committee talked about. So I'm going to transition here to what I call kind of post-consensus. So October 15th, I believe, was our last date that we met. So approximately about 4 weeks-ish ago, we met. And so since that time, several things happened. One of the things that I wanted to kind of share, I'll put all these things up there for people to kind of read through as I'm talking. One of the things that after the committee came out, they made a recommendation. They had voted on a recommendation for that we would, obviously have that we would be bringing to our school board of trustees. But we did make sure that, a couple of things. One, that our committee realized from the very beginning that, it was going to be a recommendation that they were making, and that we would also be taking this information to the, what I would say, general public at large to get more information. In other words, we wanted there to be the more people that were aware and the more feedback, the hope that we received, the more information and more insights we would have as we kind of work through this. And so Dr. Atha and Dr. Atha's leadership, we created a district-wide community survey that was sent out. We received over 220 submissions, on that, and then obviously was the next part was really kind of going through all of those and looking for trends and common themes. I won't read through these, but I'll just kind of list those up there for you as some of the themes that came out through those surveys. Obviously, there were some things that were not put on here as common themes that were maybe not one-offs, but maybe a few people listed them. But as general themes, these were the 4 or 5 that came to light. And then I will say, in addition to that, we received various forms of communication from many of our parents and staff members and community members, whether it be emails, phone calls, Zoom meetings, doing some community meetings. It was great to be able to just listen to a lot of different perspectives and insights and learn more about, just why people felt certain ways and why, maybe some historical knowledge too that was also beneficial for us to know about previous rebalancings, or even if they were what I call maybe mini ones where maybe only 1 or 2 neighborhoods were moved. It was really beneficial for us to kind of know why that went about and maybe what, in fact, what they were even told at the time by the current administration. So, and then finally from that, adjustments ensued that ultimately became the final recommendations aligned, trying to keep the core pieces of the rebalancing team's objectives in mind. And so it was really kind of looking at, that new feedback, but also the feedback that we had received from the rebalancing committee. And then just a few more points on the final map updates. Admittedly, some minor adjustments were made to reflect community input that aligned with some of the district and community objectives. So, on the final map, there were some iterations and some tweaks, I guess I would say, based upon the feedback that was received, whether it was by Dr. Atha, by myself, and many times our school board members were included on that as well. And so, obviously, through communications through Dr. Atha and I, and then working through our district leaders as well, made some of those adjustments as necessary. And then also just ensured some boundaries that met long-term capacity and longevity goals. One of the key components, that the 4 considerations of the rebalancing team, and I really think ultimately all of us, was longevity. You want to try to have something in place that ultimately we're not going through this process every couple of years because of numbers being not predicted, and not, hopefully the plan for that gives us 5 to 6 years, depending on, and what we try to use is 6 years would be ideal before a kindergarten through 5th grade student, if they could remain at that school for the K through 5 experience before they went on to a new middle school. To me, that would be ideal. in a growing district, that is a challenge and something that we are hoping though that, now you will see on some of the models, I think they only have a 5-year projection, and that was just the way the consultants worked that out, but ultimately 6 years is kind of our bar that we're shooting for, our barometer that we're aiming for. And so that was a huge part of this. There were a couple of things that I do want to share just with predictive and real-time data. I think, a couple of our community members and parents kind of asked some questions about that as well. And to kind of share what that is without going really into the weeds of it was as we were looking at some of our numbers, most of the information that when you work with in these situations, you are working with predictive enrollment and predictive numbers when you're growing. As a school, you can, so as a building principal, I was able to, in non-district, non-rebalancing years, look at my school, and, as a general rule of thumb, you would usually say in a growing district about 5% growth from one year to the next was pretty accurate in most years, depending on all kinds of factors, but that was usually in a growing school a fairly fair number. The one number you never knew, of course, was kindergarten, because you didn't know that until they enrolled the following school year. So most times people would use the previous year as a pretty good indicator, unless you had just other information of maybe a new neighborhood going in, things like that. But even that was still a prediction. So that's kind of how we started using this, and that was the information that the committee and we were working on. We were looking at, obviously, that, but also we were always looking at, in addition to predictive numbers, real-time numbers. And in a couple of situations, some of our real-time numbers and our predictive numbers were not matching up as well as we had hoped they would. So we started to kind of look at both and started to ask some questions about what that would look like. And what it came down to in some of our schools is the way both our demographers shared it with us was, and I think you heard earlier, some atypical growth patterns that we've seen at some of our schools, whether that be a very quick growth pattern or some previously quick growing patterns that have sort of stalled. And so the information that they give us, they use off a 4-year model, data from 2021 to 2024, and then some of those models then were predicted off of that. And so what we had to do was we had to look at that information, and in the, I guess I would call it the most updated map, some of the numbers did ultimately change, and there was actually one, I would say the biggest, and I'll show this later, but one of the bigger neighborhoods, there was a neighborhood that was actually moved from, not moved from Monon, but actually kept at the building that it was at now due to some of the undergrowth, or I would say the underestimated growth patterns of Monon Trail. And that was really kind of the biggest ones. The other two were really based upon feedback from constituents and family members that at a particular school, and that was actually at Oak Trace. So those were really the three big changes that I will show here. But I wanted to just address that to somewhat because there were some adjustments that had to be made because of some of those numbers. Now, they weren't very far off, and most of them stayed within the same school, but they were, in some cases, a little bit higher, a little bit lower. And so what I would say the difference was using real-time numbers versus predictive numbers. It actually had to be a combination of both, because the predictive numbers are actually the ones that we do want to look at for longevity. The real-time numbers gave us a better understanding of school enrollment for the immediate year, and then kind of combining those two practices. So it was a little bit of an adjustment that we had to make later in the process, which was something that we felt that was going to be in the long term better to obviously deal with the most accurate numbers. So, and then along the same lines, I just wanted to bring up the balanced and feeder schools. The one thing that we had to be careful about was if students changed from one feeder, one of the 4 schools going to one of the middle schools versus the other, that could obviously change then the percentages and the numbers of those feeders. Fortunately, in the changes that we made, there were very limited number of students that switched from one to the other. There were about 35, there were actually 40 students total that a shift was from Westfield Elementary School to Oak Trace, which those students would actually attend a different feeder under the current model that was done by the rebalancing. So sorry, I know that was a lot, but I just wanted to kind of address some of that because I know that it was brought up and it was, and I wanted to somewhat validate what some of our community members had shared earlier. So this is information that is online, of course, but this was the final proposed map. The changes in here that are reflected are the neighborhoods that I talked about earlier, but Northland Village was actually moved from Monon Trail to, and it's actually remaining at Washington Woods. There was 2 sections, Ridgewood, which was 14 students, and then Viking Meadows Manors and Enclave, and then Helios neighborhood, which was 26 students, were both remained at Oak Trace. Referring to the second one, the Viking Meadows neighborhood that I referenced, and the Enclave and Helios, that one neighborhood, one of the information that we received from many members of that area was that in 2022, and Mr. Baldwin might be able to correct me if I say anything inaccurate on this, in 2022, they were moved from Shamrock Springs to Oak Trace Elementary School due to some growth issues and overcrowding. And the term that was used with us was promised, that they were not going to be moved in the next redistricting, but I think ultimately they were hoping that they wouldn't 3 years later have to remove their students to another school again. And that information was shared with us by many families in that neighborhood, and so that was a decision made based upon numbers and also because of the fact that neighborhood had just been recently, in 3 years, been through a mini rebalancing. So that was the big difference in that particular neighborhood. So these numbers are the ones that are also shared on the website. This would be the most updated numbers. You can also see there the enrollment for the 2030 new boundaries. Just to clarify on one of these things, under Midland is obviously I would say, somewhat the wild card in the enrollment predictive piece, just because even the demographers obviously are at the mercy of not knowing the exact times when neighborhoods are going to begin, how fast those neighborhoods would begin. I will just give an example. We had when we worked with the city officials and talking about some upcoming growth, we learned that there's a new neighborhood going in the Midland Crossing current borders of approximately 2,400 homes that might begin as late or as early as 2027. They told us there was a prediction of approximately 100 homes being built a year. But these are obviously predictions or projections that would be ones that we will obviously have to reevaluate. But so that is not a minus sign, that is really approximately 650. Trying to base that off of the current model. We do know that obviously Midland and Monon Trails, the northwest quadrant of our city is our fastest growing neighborhoods right now. We do have other areas that are maybe not as much new neighborhoods, but are showing growth projections of growing of up to 100 students over the next 3 to 5 years. And then we also still have, you can see up here that we actually have a couple schools that are actually either going down in enrollment or staying at about only growing in small proportions over the next 5 years. I think it is important to recognize a few things, as was pointed out, that demographers do projections best they can. If you talk to most demographers, growing districts are much more challenging than a district that is a little more idle. And so because some of these atypical growth patterns can be tricky to try to predict and where they may come or go, and so that is an extra challenge. And then just one of the things up here are some of our free and reduced numbers. You will see that some of the percentages stayed the same. In fact, they all stayed within the same ranges that they were, but where they are located at based upon some of the moves that were made may have changed where those percentages will now be at. but that range kind of staying at that 10% low and roughly about 20% 9 was on the high end. So, and then I wanted to quickly just show a quick model of what the proposed feeder schools would be. Just a quick reminder, I've been using that term feeder schools. I apologize for not sharing this earlier. A feeder school model is really when we are looking at our elementaries and then what middle school they will feed into. Our committee made it very clear that we saw the benefits of allowing our elementary students, instead of having 8 elementary schools that would feed into ultimately both middle schools, keeping 4 middle schools that would feed into 1 middle school and the other 4 elementaries that would feed into the other, thus keeping students from the same school in their elementary years that they would have, grade level peers and school peers that they would be going into. Now, obviously going in with 3 other schools, but they would have hopefully some familiar faces, and then also parents would have neighborhoods that would be staying together, schools that would be staying together. This model's commonly used in big districts, but our committee this was by far one of their areas that they really wanted us to ensure as we moved forward. As I stated earlier, currently under the model that's being presented to you, Middle School East, or also known as the current middle school, would have Washington Woods, Monon Trail, Westfield Elementary, and Cary Ridge. And the Middle School West, opening in 2027, would be the new Midland Crossing, Shamrock Springs, Maple Glen, and Oak Trace. This was of the 2 models, this was the one, it was approximately 2/3 to 1/3 that the committee voted on as their predominant choice. And so, as I said, though, there were only 2 options presented, and it was really where Monon and where Oak Trace were going, whether it was east or west. And then just very quickly, I shared a little bit of this information earlier, but this was our current enrollment with the new boundaries. As you can see, what I really like about this is we start our schools off very similar to each other. In 5 years, the projections stay pretty close. The free and reduced number is a little bit less than 4% difference, which is really good when we're looking at 2 schools. Couple things in here that I would just sort of share. One of the big differences and benefits of Monon going to the East Middle School, or current middle school, East Middle School, and Oak Trace going, not really Oak Trace, but with Midland going to West, is that we have our 2 fastest school district enrollment areas in 2 different feeder school options, which obviously does help with the growth and the projections of them. So that was really one of the huge factors that I think the committee looked at, was trying to have 2 of our fastest growing neighborhoods and boundary lines in the same middle school. So that was a big part of why I believe that model was chosen. Now, I'm going to just kind of pivot here. So that was ultimately rebalancing and sort of post-rebalancing. But as we've gone through this process and talked to many of our parents and teachers and others and community members, and then even some of our parents today shared some of these concerns and just thoughts they had, and just some of their questions that they had. One of the ones that has come into Dr. Atha and I is the 6th grade model and the Westfield Elementary School model, and how 6th grade would be a part of that moving forward. And I just wanted to kind of share with you and share with you as board members, and also in case some community members have not seen some of the latest. One of the things that we looked at is, it is, throughout Indiana, very common for schools to be a K-6 model. Not necessarily always in this particular model, but a K-6 model is something that many school districts still utilize. But we do see that we wanted to try to listen and take some considerations in into our, perspective and thoughts. So this model, what this really tried to do is to what we call sort of a school within a school model, trying to really isolate our K through 5 students as well as our 6th grade students in different parts of the building. And as you can kind of see, and I'll kind of flip back and forth here, this is the lower floor, and then this would be the upper. So you can see that upstairs would be, 6th grade, and essentially that section of the building with 5th grade on the left. You can see on the bottom that 6th grade would be, occupying essentially that section of the building that would be closest to where buses would be coming in, trying to eliminate, obviously, where students would come in so that way they're not disrupting the rest of the building upon entrance and arrival and dismissal. And ultimately, we are looking at this model in the fact that these 6th grade students would be middle school students who would be spending 1 year at the current intermediate school, that would be the upcoming Westfield Elementary School, before then moving into their appropriate middle schools the following year. I think it's important that we share too that, Mrs. Swan and her team are obviously working diligently with us, and they've been a big part, along with Mrs. Patchett and her team, to look at the different, this scenario and all the things that we would want to do to do the best to try to make our 6th grade experience for middle school and our K-5 experience for elementary the best it could absolutely be for next year. There would be, Mrs. Swan or one of her staff members would be a principal in this building. Every day they would be middle school students that would simply be at a different location. So we would have middle school teachers, which would be our 6th grade teachers, middle school administrators. They would be on a different bell schedule than our K-5, obviously a different schedule of when they attend school. The things that are beneficial about doing this now is Mrs. Swan and her staff have really taken, and the 6th grade teachers have created a plan. Well, they're going to divide themselves in groups of pods of 16. So 16 teachers that would be going to the East Middle School, 16 teachers that would be going to the West Middle School, and already starting those, we would then divide our students up based upon the feeder models. So the students that are going to West would be with those teachers, the students that are going to East would be with those teachers, to begin those relationships. And so when they do go to their new middle schools, although those 6th grade teachers would still remain as 6th grade teachers, those students would have 16 familiar faces, and most importantly, those 16 teachers would be able to talk with our 7th grade and 8th grade teachers about those students that they've just experienced with a year with. And our administrators are also dividing that up, so that way we have all that in place. So really trying to be intentional and prescriptive with our 6th grade students going into their middle schools the following school year. And so it's it's been great working with Mrs. Patchett and Mrs. Swan on this and just trying to make all this work. I won't go into the specific details of the building because I do think that's probably a lengthier discussion, but I will share that there's been things for specific doors that may need to be isolated that would not be open. They could other than maybe by staff. So that way students from K-5 and 6 would be isolated from each other. There are obviously some areas, for example, like the cafeteria, that would have to be utilized throughout the day on different schedules by, for 1 year by these different students in K-5 and 6. But I just wanted to share this because we did receive a lot of feedback from our community members on this, and this was an idea in our attempt to try to make that work best we can in this particular model before we moved on to middle school. And so, like I said, that was that. This was once again the 2nd floor. And then last but not least here, I just wanted to share, if you notice the top, the additional questions and feedback. I felt like these were kind of, not catch-all, but these were things that I felt like were important or that many of our parents had asked about that I felt remiss not at least bringing up or sharing with you. So teacher rebalancing in our teacher survey. Dr. Baldwin will be leading the charge on this, but I wanted to kind of share what, just a general what that's going to look like. So late December, early January, based upon the information you heard this evening about our administrative teams, we want to make sure that our administrative teams are hired and that all of our teachers know who are going to be the administrators of those buildings as they begin their survey. We feel like it's important to them that they have that information. And they will then start that survey information and be putting in, what are their choices as far as locations and grade levels and schools. And Dr. Baldwin will then be working with building, well, first of all, with teachers and building principals to go through that process. I will tell you, like I said, going back to just past practice in my life, just to share, one of the things that's I feel like we have going for us in this particular scenario is first and foremost having all great schools. You can't beat that more than anything. Having there are districts where there are certain schools that don't mirror up to other ones, and it's very hard. We will not have that scenario, or having great principals, and we're lucky to have that at each of our buildings. Also, more importantly, that I do think that it's just a natural fact that we are going to have some new schools coming out. There are people that love new houses and new cars and new things, and so the newness part will be great for some. But I want to make sure that Dr. Baldwin is going to be sure that he looks at things like the different experience levels of teachers, not just experience, but expertise in their different areas. We will not have a school of first and second year teachers only. We will also not have a school of teachers that may be near retirement only. It will be schools comprised of teachers of all levels. We know that is our best models as they're working through professional learning communities and bringing different experiences to our students. So that process will begin, and probably we're thinking about 3 to 4 weeks before we can have that done. But ultimately, we want to have that completed, I would say. And I said spring break. I would imagine Dr. Baldwin would probably even shoot before then, but that would be ultimately when we want to have this process completed. And then we do have some March and April meetings with staff members, and our hope is that the building leaders of the upcoming school year would be able to meet with their new staffs and be able to begin those processes before we get into some of the more logistical things, such as moving things and getting teacher materials from building to building and so forth. I do apologize. I know that was a lot of information that I shared, but I just wanted to, obviously this is a very important time of our schools and of our city, and there's a lot of great input that's been shared. I wanted to try to ensure that you guys had all that information, and also I wanted to once again I felt it was necessary to share the work of the many committed rebalancing members that went through this process. So I would just like to obviously try to answer any questions or feedback, or share anything else at this time.
Well, I'll make a motion entertain a motion to approve the rebalancing committee recommendations for K-5 rebalancing for the 26-27 school year as presented.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I think Amber was on that one. Yep. Carrie's mic. Has been moved and second to approve the rebalancing committee recommendations for K-5 rebalancing for the 26-27 school year. Is there any discussions?
Yeah.
Carrie, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry, my AirPods are losing power here, so it's hard to hear. First, I do want to say how much I appreciate the input from the community, the committees that worked on this so much. But I do feel the need to say that, in my opinion, changing the demographics we're using for school size predictions, changing the boundaries like we did just days prior to this meeting, I don't feel it allowed us enough time to see all the data that was used, and I actually have concerns about the new numbers that I would have wanted to see addressed.
Okay. That was, yeah. Rebecca?
Yeah, I want to thank all the community members that have been involved in this process, and really just the recent engagement that's, helped tweak and refine a process that started several years ago. The current administration that sits up here, I appreciate you, picking up a flag that was set before some of you were in your current seats, but getting us across the line of a goal to keep our 5th grade students one more year in an elementary setting. I think that was something that was maybe the original discussion of this plan years ago, and it made so much sense to me. The idea also to get kids out of portables or keep kids out of portables was very important. And so knowing that we needed to make important decisions, look at where our resources and infrastructure exist, what could be accomplished, and the domino effect that every decision or idea would have on work streams and implications and balancing all the pros and cons. I know this has been a very challenging process and decision, but I also appreciate that you all were willing to take it in-house. I appreciate that community members were willing to participate and either in a committee, give feedback, open comment, to tweak and refine. I'm glad we are not a neighboring community that hired a consultant to give us a map. Even though everybody might not, we had 81% of the committee vote on a map. So you've got, you're in an 80-20 rule here where you're going to have some folks that don't support things. But I can't imagine that a paid consultant would have put as much passion and care into a sustainable plan as you all did. And I appreciate the late nights and long weekends of Dr. Hoover and Dr. Atha up here, Carmen, I know, and I'm missing many others, but it's not unnoticed, it's appreciated. Answering emails, questions by us on a daily basis over the weekend, helping us get the right information, cut through some of the noise and understand the best path forward. And I'm confident that this is the right plan at the right time to move forward with, and I just appreciate everything that's gone into this. Thank you.
Bill?
Yeah, also I wanted to mention that we had a great meeting this morning with Maria and Trey. Trey had a great suggestion of a possible delay process that we're still looking at. And if the numbers work, I'm all for it.
I do know, because Trey mentioned tonight, the projections are there's only going to be a little over 100 fifth grade, so I couldn't figure it out today, but a little only over 100 fifth graders at Westfield Elementary, so I'm not sure where the 300 number came from. I'll look at that. But again, just speaking to, some sort of phase in, we've not been able to get the numbers to work.
Right, okay.
Without possible portables or something.
Right. But I thought in the spirit of considering all options, which is one of the topics brought up, that we want to continue to consider all options. And I think we did that this morning, and I would like to continue to do that. And somebody also mentioned they believe this vote locked us in. I don't see it that way. I think we'll consider all options continuing down the road here. But I believe it's an iterative process, meaning we'll continue to tweak it. We've tweaked it to this point. We'll continue to make any adjustments. If we have to revote, we'll revote. If it's a small one, we won't. That's fine. All the better. But my priority is getting kids out of portables. We've got kids in portables in this school building right here, and would like to get them out. Right now, that's the only plan I have in front of me that's going to get those kids out of portables. If a better plan shows up, we talked about a possible one this morning, I'm all for the better plan. But this is the plan I've got right now. So what I'd like to suggest, in the spirit of considering all options moving forward, if you guys are agreeable, that we have maybe like a weekly or bi-weekly, I'll call them office hours, where maybe Dr. Atha, Dr. Hoover, and maybe Andy Hilton, maybe even Craig, our communications guy, could meet. People could come in, talk about whatever topic they want to talk about. And some of the topics we talked about tonight, like middle school map, some people don't like it, we could talk about that more. The type of data that was used. I heard about the sixth graders in the Westfield Elementary for a year, how we're going to handle that. If they want to talk about apartments, that's a new one. I hadn't heard that one before. They could talk about that in our office hours, or any other way where, you know, we could get the kids out of portables and get folks excited about the change at the same time. Or population at each school. Is the school going up? And if so, why? I don't know if that's true, but these are some of the topics I took out on my mini notes that they could talk about at these office hours if you guys are willing to do something like that. And they could be scheduled with individuals, or they could be open like we did 3 years ago with our Destination Westfield, where Dr. Kaiser, Dr. Tom Michael just were there, and anybody could come and talk about any topic they wanted to, and there was various topics talked about in the ones that I attended. So to me, that seems like something that might help folks. But I've got to vote tonight to get kids out of trailers. So that's my priority.
And to piggyback Bill's statements here, this doesn't just go out to one elementary, this goes out to any of the schools. If you want to come in and talk about any of the elementaries, any of the middle schools, or the high school, please come in and do that. It's not just the one that's on the table tonight.
Does that sound like something possible we could do?
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be great.
I do just quickly, just some things, you know, I want the real-time data versus someone said outdated data. They ask about the data so in schools, October 1 is our count date. So a lot of information, if you get it from the DOE, is based on that. If the teachers here, I don't want to speak for you, but they would tell you there's in and there's out, right? And so that snapshot in time is not actually what's going on, because you come back from a break and there's 5 more kiddos, but sometimes you put them in one classroom and another classroom loses kiddos. So then all of a sudden you have unbalanced numbers, right? We've been dealing with that. So the numbers, there's times where we say we grew, 500. Well, 200 of those might have been between winter break and the end of the year. They just weren't counted till October 1 the next year, right? And so as you think about the numbers, right, like you live in the real time, and so the projections, it's a difficult, but you know, there's in and there's out in our community. And so you know, and then the optimum, I believe we've said in this shift to 5th grade down, the optimal enrollment in an elementary is 600 to 700 students. Where does that number come from? Well, if there are, in our existing elementaries have 30 classrooms, 32 actually, but if you had 30, that's 6th grade levels of 5 classes is 30 classes. 20 kids in a class is 600. 25 kids in a class is 750. So the optimal number is, we want to try to stay 5 sections and under, right? That puts stress on the school, but we can flex to 750. And so again, just some of that clarifying. I think the thing I heard probably the most is the impact on students that have to move, and I gave numbers, but there's no doubt our students and our teachers have built strong relationships in our current schools, and for many this change and this transition is unsettling and difficult, and we understand that. And I firmly believe, right, with our leadership teams and our teachers, when we get them in place for this transition, they're going to care for our kiddos, they're going to care for each other, they're going to care for our families, just as they always have. And I'm not saying that this is easy and simple. What I'm saying is I have great confidence in our teachers. And so for me, this map sends the phase one that allows us to get to what I believe I've heard is the caring adults who take care of the kids every day, focusing on how can we make this difficult situation the best for our kids and our families. And so that's where I am. I do want to speak to public records requests. I'll just quickly say it's a legal process. Our attorney handles that. I try not to get involved because it's a legal process and I'm not an attorney. So from that piece, as you request information, we run it through our process. Finally, I know there's been concerns, and again, I think with Mr. Hilton on board and his expertise in advocating for and understanding what our K-4 experience is today, right? We'll be looking at that elementary school through a lot of different lenses. We're doing, every time someone asks us about air quality, we test. We're looking at ways to create sound barriers. We're working with NDOT. So we heard other things that were outside, I guess, the process that we want to acknowledge that everything that's on the table there, we've kept a record of. We'll work with the leadership team now, as we shift into a different phase into this. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that during this discussion session, that maybe to Bill's thing, right? Like it doesn't just end here. It actually is probably more beginning. So thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank the teachers for all the things they do, because I know they'll teach anywhere, any kid, anytime that they can have a chance to. So I want to thank the teachers for all the work they do, be it in a new building, refurbished building, or a trailer. So thank you guys for doing what you guys do. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are opposed?
No.
One opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Hoover. We'll return to you for the Westfield School Library weeding out of books.
Thank you, Mr. Steele. I am just submitting that WMS submitted books that need to be disposed of due to some of them, just some general wear and tear and damage. The lists are attached for board approval. I just made a little note that there was one book that I weeded out just because I thought the content was not appropriate for middle schoolers, and we also did not feel like it was appropriate for high school as well. There's a book called Kiss and Tell, and that has been weeded out as well. So I am recommending the disposal, of all said books.
Thank you. At this time, I ask for a motion to approve the disposal of the library books.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It has been moved and second to approve the disposal of the WMS library books. Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Carrie did say aye. Excuse me.
Yes.
The motion has passed. Thank you for the final item on the curriculum portion of the agenda, the Westwood High School 26-27 course catalog. We'll come right back to you, Dr. Hoover.
Thank you, President Steele. We wanted to share with you the updated 2026-27 course offerings for grades 9 through 12. I know it does sound early, but this is an annual process that our high school and or middle school administration and counseling team goes through each year and updates course offerings. There's 3 documents attached. There is a offering for 9-10. There is offerings for 11-12, and then to try to make your life a little easier, we also do a changes for the 26 school year, so you don't have to sort of comb through all of them. I would read that one first. And in most situations, it's just to bear in mind, with the new graduation requirements that are beginning with this coming year's freshmen, this current freshman, there have been some changes, but our high school staff and middle school staff have done a great job of adjusting around them. I've had conversations with both Ms. Dennison and Ms. Swan about even some things that we're going to be looking at for the future as far as credits, and we'll get into that more down the road, but ultimately making sure that not only are our high school students leaving with the number of credits that they need, but they're also getting a wide variety of classes, especially through their multiple electives that they can choose. So at this time, the administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the 2026-27 course offerings for WHS.
At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the Westfield High School 26-27 course catalog as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved. Oh, thank you. It has been moved and second to approve the Westfield High School 26-27 course catalog. Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Carrie said aye. All opposed, say no. The motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Hoover. I'll now hand things over to Dr. John Atha for the fall policy updates.
Thank you, Mr. Steele, members of the board. So, each year with legislation, we have policy updates. We actually received these right before the October board meeting, but we waited till today. And so Churchill on Antrim provides us with these updates based on the 2025 legislative session and recent audit, regulatory guidance, and current best practice. So quick summary of the policies, and we're asking the board through advisement from our legal team, because these were all mandated through the legislative process, just to do them on the first read, because they're edits, they're not new policies. And so C525 is the medical needs of school, and that includes changes to the AED requirements. D300 is controlled substance and alcohol testing, which includes pre-employment screenings for certain positions. F100 is the internal controls and adds the principal and treasurers as signatories. Purchasing, procurement, and capital assets just revises the alignment with state boards of account guidance instead of the limits for, instead of the federal purchasing based on, the state limit. Unpaid meal policy revises and reflects practical changes regarding notice to parents. Oh, sorry, that was F126. F225 is fundraising and crowdfunding, revises the policy to remove some specific websites. F325 is debt management policy, which revises to reflect the updated 0.69999 maximum target rate based on the 2025 legislation. Cash balance and liquidity changes the title of cash balance and liquidity, as most schools use the term cash balance more frequently than reserves. And finally, G125 is the criminal organization activity. This policy is no longer required. The advisement is that we consider putting it in our employee handbook, which the timing is perfect because Dr. Baldwin can work with our teachers, and we want to bring a first read of that our employee handbook to the board with a final adoption in January. So on that policy, we won't update it, but what we'll do is when we put it in there, we'll say we moved it and we'll delete it, if that's fair. So I would recommend that we adopt these adjustments in policy as presented.
All right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the policy update as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? It has been moved in second to approve the policy update. Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? The motion has passed. Thank you, Dr. Atha. I would ask the board members and superintendents to share success stories from the past month, and since I got the mic, I'm going to go with Coach of the Year, Sean Keeve, for girls volleyball at the high school for the HCC, and probably the greatest coach that we got at the high school level, Scott Litzkin, was Coach of the Year for girls cross country for HCC, and he could be Coach of the Year at any given time for the state. All right, I'll give it up.
So girls volleyball made it to semi-state, which was really exciting to see them perform this year. And then if you didn't tune in, the boys football team beat Carmel in an amazing ending to be sectional champs. And we play Friday against Fishers at home. And tonight, I want to congratulate all of the high schoolers who were inducted into the National Honor Society, specifically my daughter. And thank you, Sean Davis, for recording that for me.
Anyone going to do it?
I don't have anything else.
Well, I mean, I didn't know if you wanted to mention the jump pass, I know congratulations was in there, but just the great last call of the play to beat Carmel.
Hoosiers, yeah, that was a great.
And I know we have some staff in our ranks here in the district, but to all the veterans out there, happy Veterans Day. Thank
Yes.
you for your service.
Yes, thank you, veterans, very much.
I also want to mention that last weekend, the high school theater department put on the Addams Family, so congratulations. It was an amazing show, and we received great feedback. The kids, work so hard on that. They do a great job, but congratulations to Mr. Grubbs, the theater department, and that, the work that goes into that and the enjoyment our community, our parents, but also our community gets out of that. So appreciate that.
Two things. Annette, are you still here? If you have Rob come over and help you with that wetland, remember that he will bring his fishing pole. So just keep that in mind. And Friday night, Westfield plays Fishers at home. Just warning.
I want to, also, I think Ryan did that, but just, the process we utilized, those administrators sitting in the back, they showed up every week, and they have continued to be invested not only in our kids, supporting our teachers, but our community and doing what's best and just giving and giving and giving. So I often talk about we have the best teachers in the business, hands down. We have the best administrators in the business, hands down. And so just a shout out to them back there and thank them for what they do every day. Keeping our kids safe, but also bringing joy and happiness and working through even the difficult situations. So I appreciate them staying till the end tonight.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Thank you.